because nobody wants to adopt it. There's definitely way more good to be done in this job than there is bad, and that's seeing animals get adopted and seeing animals might not have had a chance at life come into our shelter, and then we're getting them the care that we need. I think without our shelter, unfortunately, a lot of animals that do have medical needs or behavioral needs might not be as successful in getting an adoption because they'd be at an animal shelter that has a larger capacity where they don't have the ability to focus on that individual animal's needs. So I truly feel like having a shelter here in the city does a world of wonders for the animals that are from our city, but as well as the public, because we're able to offer resources. I think the only way that we see the change that we want to is by the public coming and supporting the local animal shelter by adopting. They can't adopt, foster. If you can't foster, spread the word about our animal shelter. We're on the map and we want to see as many animals adopted as possible.
My name is Brian Aguilera. I'm with Building Maintenance for the City of Corona. Yeah, I started off in an auto body shop working on the paint booths. Fellow employee told me about a position opening and I should fill out a position, so I did. And a few months later, I was hired on and been here ever since. There's 5 of us on the crew. It's not a big crew, it's kind of a small crew for all the buildings that we take care of. A lot of them are 24 hours, so we do rotate on call. It's fun working with these guys. It's a pretty cool group. I mean, we work together all the time. My day starts off, we get our work orders, we see what's pending, see what's going on and what's hot. We take care of the ones that are hot first, and then we go about our day. And if we get anything that comes up that takes priority, which could be busted pipes, like water lines, plumbing issues, it could be anything from cat rooms, air conditioning, it doesn't matter. It's something that's always changing throughout the day, and that's what I love about it. It's always changing.
I'm Cindy Schmitz, the fire marshal for the City of Corona Fire Department, and I just started my 25th year here. We moved to Corona when I was 8 years old, and I've seen so many changes, and I love the city. I have great pride in the city. I put in an interest card right away, applied for the job, got it, and I've been here ever since and never looked back. You can find us probably just about anywhere. We touch so many different aspects of the city, the community, the business community. If you want to build a building in the city, you have a piece of dirt, we're dealing with it from the ground up. We look at the plans, we review them, we do the new construction inspections, and we also manage the hazardous materials program. When I say like the beginning and the end, we also do the investigations side of it. So if a fire occurs in the city, we will go out and determine what the cause of it was. I love being here. I love living where I work. I feel like I have one of the best jobs in the city because I get to work with everybody. There's not like a month that goes by that I don't touch every department. So whether it be working with my brothers and sisters, whether it be in PD or fire, which truly is an extension of my family, I am so grateful to be able to work with everyone over at City Hall and the surrounding area. And it's the people. That's why I love being here. It's for sure the people. That's why I'm here and why I stay.
Alrighty friends, welcome to On The Go. Come join us for a fun story time. Does anyone know what imagination is? Welcome to the Corona Public Library. My name is Martin Villegas. I'm a library specialist here with the Corona Public Library. I've been here with the city for a little over 8 years. I started working here at this library because from college, I had always worked in a place of education. Whether it was the college I was at, the elementary school where I worked at before this, or this library, I've always been in a place where I'm helping other people better themselves. As a teen, before I went off to college, I knew that I would want to come back to Corona and kind of grow my roots and settle down here. And I've been very fortunate enough to get a chance to do that here working with the city. I was born and raised in Corona, and I really feel like without the opportunities presented by this community and by the city, my family would not have gotten to the point where they are now. I have 3 sisters, we all went to college, we all have our education, and I really feel like Corona was the place that helped us get that. And so for me, being able to come back and be the person now helping other families get to that point is one of the most rewarding parts of this position. As the outreach specialist here at the Corona Public Library, it really does help to be a jack of all trades. So one thing that I'm able to bring to the table, I think that helps me excel at my job, is just kind of knowing where everything is, where all the city resources are, who to talk to, how to access them, having such wide approximate knowledge of how the city operates and where to find things on our website or even who to talk to in person. So that's one of the skill sets I think that I bring to the table that really helps me do well at this job and to help people.
I cannot thank you enough for all that you do for our library, just you in particular, Martin, because you do multiple jobs in any one given day, so I appreciate you.
Thank you for the kind words. One of the things that I would like to be remembered for are the relationships and the trust that I've helped build with our community, the rapport that I'm able to build with families who come regularly to On the Go, from stakeholders who I get to present in front of, and that's what I feel like I will be remembered for, and I hope that I'm remembered for as well.
And about a year later, moved to Corona, and I've lived here ever since. So there's a sense of pride that kind of comes with working and serving the city that I grew up in. I wanted to be a cop when I was really young, actually, but I still explored like other educational avenues. So I ended up going to college and playing sports. So I think the team atmosphere and like the structure and like having brothers and sisters like outside of your family is just like a really good feeling to have. And being able to all like work hard for like the same goal has always been something that I feel like I've needed throughout my life. People become police officers to kind of give back to their community. Even if it's not the community you necessarily live in, there's always a good sense of pride that comes with doing the right thing for people and helping people who can't help themselves. The city of Corona is pretty unique in the fact that our community actually really likes us and they support us. Pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to have somebody thanking you for your service. Just that reassurance on a day-to-day basis is good motivation for especially the negative times or the negative calls that you might come from. It just kind of lifts your spirits and keeps you motivated.
Can you imagine the city without a fire department? The reason why they call 911 because they're either having a hard time or they're not having a positive time in their life, and the first thing they see is us. Hi, I'm Wendell Pablo. I'm a firefighter paramedic with the Corona Fire Department. I was born and raised in the Philippines, and now I live here with my family. I've been with Corona for pushing 6 years, and I've been a medic with the department for 5 years. Growing up, I always know that I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. That's something that would enable me to help other people out. Big part of our culture is taking care of each other and taking care of our elderly. I was actually a caregiver for a while just for that reason. I enjoyed that a lot. I guess it's more of my nature just to help other people out because it's the right thing to do. Being a firefighter enables me to do that. In order for you to become a firefighter here in California, you have to be an EMT. Being a paramedic, we respond to not only fire, but majority of our call is EMS related, meaning that it's a medical related, and being the paramedic on the engine, ultimately the one in charge on the patient care. When it comes to treating the patient, I'm the one making that decision of what treatment and where that patient needs to go. There's a sense of pride too for me because I live in the city. Giving back to the city and making a difference here in our community, it's honestly the best thing that had ever happened to me. Like if there's no fire department, give us a shaka, bro.
Corona was the first in the state to do a ground-based blood transfusion program with our paramedics.
Back in August of 2022, several members of our EMS committee brought forward a very innovative idea that had never been seen before in the state of California, and that is to carry field blood on our EMS units.
Trauma is the #1 cause of death for adults age 18 to 45. And 50% of the people that die from trauma die because of hemorrhage, because of blood loss. So to be able to bring blood to the scene, put an IV in their arm and be able to transfuse that blood to them on scene will save their life. And that absolutely is what happened with our patient that survived his motorcycle accident.
Like expected, I'm going up to 91. I got the express lane to my left. My bike's right here, right next to it. Out of nowhere, just everything goes black.
And then I could just see like, hey, this was a serious motorcycle accident on the freeway. There's a very, very good potential he's going to need blood. I had Captain Portillo thankfully working with us, and he requested our squad to come right down, and he had them stage on the freeway off-ramp. So as we got off the freeway, we stopped, grabbed the blood, and were able to turn around and head to the hospital. So it worked pretty seamlessly.
When you guys see a blood drive in your city, your county, donate. Because people like me need it.
Yeah, you as well, bud. Glad to see you later.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Inner Circle TV. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're going to be your hosts today as we learn more about our incredible city and what's going on in it.
Stay tuned to learn more about city projects, events, and ways to get involved in your community. First off, we wanted to give you a little bit more insight into the Downtown Revitalization Project and how the city of Corona is getting stuff done.
It's a really exciting time to be living and working in Corona because of the Downtown Revitalization Plan.
The downtown area has not received a whole lot of love in a long, long time. We're stepping up and we're gonna do something about it.
The team is very excited. It's gonna be really awesome to see these projects come to the center of the circle and just see the area thrive.
Downtown is a huge, huge focal point, and it's a huge goal of ours to accomplish.
Downtown, 6th and Main, is #1 on every single one of our lists from the day that we started on council to today.
We are trying to create a safe, walkable downtown that has the things that our community has expressed to us that are important to them. A place for community to gather and the endless opportunities that come out of that.
Everything the council directed us to do has either started or has a planned start date, most importantly, a planned completion date within the overall cycle for downtown.
I feel like that what we're doing in our downtown area is a big win for this community. When it's done, it'll be way better than what it's been like for the last 4 decades.
We also have 6th Street's beautification and revitalization project, getting ready to hopefully kicking that project off for construction in the first half of next year. And so that will really just start to really bring that area together.
So 6th Street transformation overall, it's to create not just a street corridor for vehicles, but really a pedestrian-friendly environment, and the entire concept for
Okay, it's a sing-along, everybody.
No.
Go ahead, Tom, start.
All right. Well, the music didn't play. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's City Council meeting of Wednesday, August 19th. We are going to begin tonight's meeting with an invocation. If Pastor Fred from the Corona Church of the Open Door is here to join us. Hi, Pastor Fred. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
I would like to say this is my first time doing the invocation here at this great city. I've been in Norco for the last 24 years with my dear friend Berwin Hanna. So I started here 25 years ago at the American Legion Hall on Main Street, and I've come full circle. Name of the city, Corona.
Welcome back.
I first of all would just like to just say it's a privilege and an honor. I know that what this city believes in is evident, and in God we trust. And if I mess it up, forgive me, pluribus uno, mean many are one. And I would like to say many to the city mayors, vice mayor, city attorney, city manager, fire chief, park director, city planning and housing commissioner, city clerks and secretary, many. So Father, we just thank you and we bless you. You said in your word in Psalms 131, verse 1, how pleasant it is when brothers come together in unity, amenity. There you will command a blessing. I command a blessing over this city now. I pray for the leaders that you will inspire them to come up with amazing ideas for this city, that it will continue to flourish and be a model for other cities in this nation. You said in your word, Father, that in Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people will perish. City of Corona has a vision. And so, Lord, I just thank you in advance for what you will continue to do with these amazing leaders. Amen and amen.
Amen. Pastor Fred, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as well? Yeah.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome back, Pastor Fred, and come back for another invocation. We appreciate you. Thank you. Before we convene open session, I just want to remind everyone that you can take your cell phone and scan the QR code so that you can follow along with today's agenda. By doing so, you also get access to all of the staff reports and supporting material, which is the exact same material that your city council gets to study ahead of council meetings. So if you're ever curious, or if you want to learn more about the process, I encourage you to scan the QR code and contribute. And if you want to speak on an item, you submit a blue card to the city clerk's desk right here, and you can speak on any item you'd wish. Okay, so let's convene open session. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. Ms. Edwards, would you please read the special instructions?
Yes, Mayor. Individuals wishing to address the City Council are requested to complete a speaker card and deliver it to City Clerk staff prior to the item being heard by the City Council. Please observe the 3-minute limit for communications, and once called upon to speak, please state your name and city of residence for the record. Mayor, I do want to note that there were 2 revisions to the agenda. Agenda item 9.2, the staff report and the presentation were revised.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Item number 5, proclamations, recognitions, and presentations. There are none tonight, so we're moving on to item 6, the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters, status reports, or documents covering previous City Council action. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or any person in attendance may request that an item be removed for further consideration. Would my colleagues like to pull any items for discussion? Council members? No item? Vice Mayor, none? Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public on the consent calendar?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards for the consent calendar.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for the consent calendar.
So moved.
Okay, please cast your vote. Okay, and the consent calendar passes unanimously. So we're moving on to item 7. Communications from the public. Persons wishing to address the City Council are requested to state their name and city of residence for the record. This portion of the agenda is intended for general public comment only, which means it is limited to items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council that are not listed on the agenda. Please note that state law prohibits the City Council from discussing or taking action on items that are not listed on the agenda. The City Council will appreciate your cooperation in keeping your comments brief. Please observe a 3-minute limit for communication. Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public?
Mayor, yes, we have 8 speaker cards for communication from the public.
All right, 8 cards. Please come on down. Hello, welcome.
This is Joe Morgan, 2063 Rand. And I guess I should mention I'm a candidate for District 1 council seat. So I'd like to pour one out in memory of C-Click Fix. C-Click Fix was one of the things that consistently was one of the good things that the city did. It allowed basic transparency. You could report an issue, pothole, sprinklers, street lights, debris along the curb, any of that type of stuff. You could report it, and it would be on a publicly facing board. And then where everybody could see what the status was of that complaint. You could see how long it was sitting around. You could zoom in on your neighborhood. You could see open complaints, closed complaints, and so I'd see you responding to them, so you knew what was going on. The council members knew everything about what was going on. And then everybody saw what everybody else had to say about it. So you could see if there was a problem in your neighborhood, if it was an ongoing problem. You could see the history of problems in the neighborhood. So it allowed for basic accountability and transparency. So sometime unbeknownst to the public, I being one of the members of the public, I turned in a C-Click Fix about a week ago for a sprinkler shooting water out on a Magnolia. And it was closed in about 3 minutes. And then I get some AI slop email response back. And I was like, well, what's going on here? And it just says, call this number if you have any questions. So I call the number when I have the questions. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a generic, community services number. It took me 45 minutes, an hour. I'm as well versed in City Hall as anybody. It took me 45 minutes or an hour to get a hold of an actual human being here, which is part of the reason why you had a thing like C-Click Fix. And so I was told that, oh, well, yeah, it's not going to be public facing anymore. We're just moving to a different system. So nobody's going to be able to see the status of any repairs or any complaints that you might have. So if you turn something in, that it just kind of goes into a black box, and then you at some point may or may not get an email back, and nobody else is going to see it. So it's kind of part and parcel of how I see this city doing business on a daily basis. You want to isolate people as much as possible. You don't want anybody to see the broader things that you're doing. You only tell the people that you want to see. You only tell the people that you want to tell. You don't want everybody else to see what's going on. So again, I'm going to miss C-Click Fix. In my volunteer position, I would turn in a lot of things on C-Click Fix. I used it quite a lot, and I'm definitely going to miss it and the ability to track actual complaints.
Thank you for your feedback. I know it's not a city-owned system, so maybe we could get a report back on C-Click Fix in future items. So,
Mayor,
come
I
on.
will say I used it twice this week.
Yeah.
It worked perfect.
I have too. I use it frequently. So I'd like to get a little report back on C-Click Fix. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Scott Altimus. I live in the city of Corona. I'm here tonight in strong support of the Corona Police Department's continued use of flock license plate reader cameras. I've listened to the concerns about privacy and the argument that these cameras amount to mass surveillance. I respect those concerns. Nobody wants government technology used improperly to track innocent people. But I think we need to separate what is possible to abuse from whether a technology provides a substantial benefit of public safety when properly controlled. The purpose is straightforward when police are looking for a vehicle associated with a murder, kidnapping, robbery, stolen vehicle, missing person, or other serious crime. These cameras can provide investigators with information that previously might have taken hours, days, or never been discovered at all. And we've seen what this technology can accomplish. Around the country, flock alerts have directly contributed to the apprehension of homicide suspects. In one recent case, a flock alert helped law enforcement locate a vehicle connected to a homicide, resulting in 3 homicide suspects being taken into custody. This kept these suspects from possibly murdering more innocent people. Police departments have documented case after case where flock alerts led officers to stolen vehicles, armed suspects, and people with outstanding felony warrants. These aren't theoretical benefits. These are dangerous people being located and taken off the street. I also want to address the argument that because every passing license plate can be captured, innocent people are somehow being treated as suspects. A license plate is displayed publicly on a vehicle traveling on a public roadway. A flock camera isn't searching your home. It isn't listening to your conversations like this does. And it isn't looking through your phone. It gives police an investigative tool for identifying vehicles and determining where they were observed on public roads. Can that information be abused? Absolutely. And when the abuse occurs, it should have serious consequences. But the answer to potential abuse is accountability, not eliminating a valuable law enforcement tool. Require every search to have a legitimate law enforcement purpose. Require users to document that purpose. Maintain audit logs. Conduct regular audits. Restrict outside agency access. Follow California law regarding data sharing, and if an officer intentionally abuses the system for personal purposes, discipline them, terminate them when appropriate, and prosecute them when they've committed a crime. We don't eliminate DMV database searches because an employee might misuse one. We don't eliminate criminal history databases because someone might conduct an improper search. We shouldn't eliminate license plate readers because someone could potentially abuse them. We establish rules, we monitor their use, and we punish misconduct. There's also another privacy interest that deserves consideration, the privacy and security of crime victims. A family whose loved one has been murdered wants the person responsible found. A parent whose child is missing wants every legitimate investigative tool available. A resident whose vehicle has been stolen wants police to find it. I'm out of time, but I believe Corona can keep the civil liberties of their residents and keep the flock cameras and strengthen oversight. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. All right, who's next? Hello, welcome, Mr. McQuay.
Good evening. Chris McCoy, District 3. I have one request that I'm going to ask, and I think this is mostly going to be for the city manager. But as you all know, I run a Facebook group called Citizens for Corona. We've got about 11,000 residents or 11,000 members, and somewhere around 8,000 of those are Corona residents. It's been 8 years, and they still don't know where to look to find out what district they're in. And when they go to look at the GSM map is really hard to get to on our website. And it's really complicated to work with, and some of our older folks are like, I have to use a login and I have to do this. I would really appreciate it if we could find a much more upfront district map that doesn't require us to go through 4 or 5 different hoops. And I know it's easy for me to go and find it, but I went and looked based on what a couple of members asked me about. Some of them were elderly, and it is a bit of a poke to get in there. It's going to be 4 or 5 layers deep, and for some reason GSM always asks, hey, what's your login? And then you have to reload it before it will actually give you the map without logging in. So if you don't know that little trick, you can't get in and look exactly where you are. So it is an impediment to folks that are trying to figure out what our districts are. I would really appreciate it if we did a non-GSM map that was down to the street level that allowed people to figure out where they are. So that's number one. Number two, I just want to address this whole thing with flock because I am for flock, but I also want very strong controls over it. I want every login to be done. I want everything to be recorded because mistakes are made and it is abused. There was a woman, I just read the article before I got here, and I wasn't even going to talk about this, but a woman in Florida had a Dodge Dakota. Flock tracked it as part of a triple murder. She was taken out of her car. She was thrown to the ground. She was put in jail for 3 weeks. And then they went, oh, Flock got it wrong. When it was identifying it, it was this Durango over here, not this one over here. And she had injuries from her apprehension, and nobody is sorry about it. And everybody's like, oh, just a mistake, sorry. Nobody's going to be prosecuted for that, but we shouldn't be putting our citizens through that. And there's another case in Colorado where an officer was following his ex-wife around on the flock cameras. Clearly, that's something that can be handled by just having really strong lockouts on this, as far as making sure that everybody that's using it, logging in and logging out, we know who they are and what they're checking. But there still is no guarantee that ICE and the federal government isn't coming in on the back end. There are numerous described cases of this happening as an abuse, using flock cameras from a city to handle a federal issue. So I ask you to just be wary, make sure that we're holding folks accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Thank you for the feedback. The district map will look into that. I hadn't had to put anything in there, but I think you put in your address and it tells you where you're at. But we'll look into that. Hello. Hi, Ms. Alexander. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Thank you for letting me be here. I wanted to wear a different hat tonight, my Mercy House hat. As you know, I manage a program, Make It Cozy, and the City of Corona is in possession or owns 2 buildings for the 5th Street Apartments, and we're getting ready to help the city fill those with residents. Families, and so you can imagine moving into your own house what it would take. They have furniture in those empty units right now, but I just wanted to say how grateful and appreciative I am of this community. Mercy House obviously is responsible for getting them ready for the residents, but Mercy Make It Cozy did an outreach to the community, and I just wanted to say, just blown away how much they helped. The bill to have each of those units have a move-in kit was $66,000, almost $7,000, and so I wanted to publicly thank those who didn't hesitate and donated the items. St. Matthew Church, Congregation Beth Shalom, North Point Church, Olive Branch Church, the Men's Bible Group, Faith Fellowship, St. Edward's Church Food Pantry, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints Just Serve Program, Beth Shalom Messianic Congregation, the Fogel family, the Choquette family, the Circle City Tavern. So all of those folks stepped right up, and our warehouse is full. We'll be compiling those moving kits. And I think when the community comes together, we really can help these folks out. We're excited for them to be processed and get vetted out and get into their new homes. So we're happy we could make it cozy. So thank you.
Thank you for your great work, Ms. Alexander. Appreciate it. Welcome. Come on up. Hi. Hello. Welcome.
Hello, everyone and City Council members. My name is Susan, and I'm the resident of Corona since 2003, and I love this city. I'm here just to talk about the Truth Chinese Baptist Church and renting the Corona Library. We have been there for the last 7 years, and we have been very happy there, always pay on time, and really continue to be there. And just this week, we received a notice of rent increase 50%, and this drastic increase. So we would like to ask City Council to reconsider maybe gradual increase instead of one-time drastic sharp increase. So we appreciate and grateful for all you have done for us, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. So you, what was the church name?
It's called Chinese Truth Baptist Church.
Chinese Truth. Okay.
Truth Chinese Baptist Church.
Truth Chinese Baptist Church. Okay.
And every Sunday we've been there for the last 7 years, and they have been very helpful and very nice to us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. All right, next up. Welcome, Maddie.
Maddie Paxton, longtime resident of Corona. Okay, I'm going to move quickly on this. Again, a reminder, Caitlin's Law, please do not leave kids, pets, or babies in hot cars in the summer. Big thank you to who was responsible for summer concerts. They were amazing. The animal shelter, they're doing the clear out the shelter, and there's no adoption fees for the month of August. And the police department has started up Run with a Cop, second Tuesdays. The next one is September 8th, 5 to 6 p.m., 400 Vicentia on the lawn, and the September theme is School Spirit. Now, we're going to get back again to RSO and RSG. And a reminder that my background, I focus on the big picture with all the little details. I still go out in the public and people are questioning why rents are so cheap. And I put together a chart showing people have mortgages. When you add another $2,000 to what they've seen, it's a big difference. So you can go ahead and look at that. The next thing, as a reminder, for this, that originally our senior parks back before 2000, there were 3 parks, and that was about 54% of the residents, made up 54% of the spaces. Today, it's only Flamingo, and that's about 8%. But we still have seniors living in parks, and that's what the important thing is. If you'll just, thank you very much, move on to the COLA to show you how little you can't see that, how little increase we get every year. You'll realize that it becomes very difficult for seniors. Which brings me to, I don't know if anybody's actually vetted to see what the bottom line of when you do vacancy, rent increase upon vacancy. And I've sent you a chart with all the numbers. I tediously went through when we had all of the rents listed and found the highest and the lowest for every park, and I indicated which ones. And the bottom line, if you can show that chart, the next one, the bottom line to what the increases are, it's staggering. For the lowest rents, they range from 5.4 for fixed incomes to 607% increase. For those, and those are the seniors. For the high rents, which means they moved in recently, there's actually a negative 0.2, but 0 to 36%. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is we're going to have to go back to the park owners and ask them what their 2027 rent upon vacancy is going to be. It looks like they got carte blanche to do whatever they want, and I'm requesting that we have some kind of fair rule to prevent staggering increases for those people that are moving in, because people then can't sell their homes. And the last but not least, I'm going to bring up the next time, we pay $5 a month rent we pay $5 a month for the city, $68,000, and I want to know what that $68,000 is used for. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. All right, next up. If you pulled the card, come on up. Hello, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members, city staff. My name is Valerie from District 5, and I'm here to raise a serious safety concern on Foothill Avenue between the cross of California Avenue and Fullerton Avenue, specifically for the traffic traveling westbound during school pickup hours, right? This section of the roadway includes a designated bicycle lane that should be provided safe space for cyclists. I'm a cyclist, my kids are cyclists. Unfortunately, vehicles are frequently parked in that bike lane, completely blocking it and forcing us to either go into the travel lane and, make a lot of stuff. As a parent, as a cyclist, this issue concerns me greatly because my child rides a bicycle to the high school, to Santiago High. A few days a week, right? When cars block the bike lane, the children, myself, we have to, take 2 choices, stop and wait or merge into traffic, and you guys, how chaotic can that be in drop-in and pickup hours. The purpose of the bike lane is to give us bikers safety from motor vehicles. When that lane is obstructed, the safety benefit completely disappears for us. Even with our helmets, we are not that safe. What should be a protected area for us becomes a hazard. There are multiple signs along that lane saying, warning, there's a bike lane and there is no stop it at any time. But the drivers, they don't care. They're just disregard completely. There's two laws in California for California Vehicle Code 21209, which prohibits drivers from operating a motor vehicle in a designated bike lane. Drivers can only enter or drive in a bike lane under specific conditions, like to park where it's permitted, that area is not, to enter or leave a roadway like a driveway or an alley, and to prepare for a turn within 200 feet of an intersection. There's the 21211, which also prohibits placing or parking a vehicle or any other object on a bikeway when it impedes or blocks the normal and reasonable movements of us cyclists. In other words, blocking the lane is super inconsiderate, but it's also against the California law. I respectfully ask the city to take some action by either increasing parking enforcement on certain times of day, or consider, I know this is more money-wise, some barriers. I know how it is. But our kids deserve to be able, and us cyclists all deserve to be able to go home or go to school and feel safe. It is not only about traffic management, it's about protecting all the, but last thing, we were not too long ago discussing e-bikes. They don't want us on sidewalks. We don't want to be on sidewalks. We want to go in the bike lane, but you don't want it on the sidewalks, and then you don't want it on the
Thank you, Valerie. Chief, if we can have some eyes down there. Mr. Ellis as well. Did you want to speak to that, Chief?
Absolutely, I would. Ironically, and maybe not so ironically, because we're very familiar with the issues, traffic issues surrounding Santiago High School during school hours. We were just there today with a traffic enforcement detail. So I don't know if our community member saw us up there, but we are addressing those matters as we speak.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
yesterday I have to pick band. My kid is in band, so it's later.
Thank you.
I avoided all that.
Thank you. Thank you, but thank you, Chief. Enforcement should hopefully deter that. And then I think the e-bikes, it was, a speed limit on the sidewalks and making sure that you're letting people know that you're coming.
I want to just acknowledge what you just said, and I 100% agree with you. It is a battle.
Yeah.
Because we have inconsiderate people that all they care about is picking up their kid, dropping off their kid, and we see it not just there. And we do saturation, we write a lot of tickets, but it's like amnesia. The people that come back every year just forget. So the officers will do a good job and make sure that those people get lots of warnings, and they'll have second thoughts about doing that. But can we get it to vanish forever? Probably not. But there's a lot of schools that we hit. I know that the officers, I'm not saying they love giving tickets, but the rude people, absolutely. So hopefully we'll continue to do so and make room for you and your kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie, for being here. Yeah. Thank you, Valerie. Yes, please let them know as well. Okay, we had 8 cards, so who's our 8th speaker? Come on over. Welcome.
Okay, good evening, Council. My name is Crystalline Reynolds-Rivas. I was raised here in Corona, educated, graduated, and then I finally just moved back. I want to start by saying that I support the vision behind the hub. Downtown Corona has needed this kind of investment for a long time, and I'm genuinely glad to see the South Mall coming back to life. Today it was announced that a brewery is coming to the hub, but I have a question that the city hasn't answered. Why is a beer company from Orange County, not Corona, getting a spot in the development before a local business that was ever even given a real chance? This isn't about being against a good beer, it's about what revitalization is supposed to mean. When we talk about bringing Corona's downtown back, that story should start with the people who already live here. The local brewers, the restaurateurs, and small business owners who've been waiting for exactly this kind of opportunity. Handing a flagship space to an outside company with a visible local first process sends this message that our own residents' ideas and investments were never seriously considered in the first place. I'm not asking the council to reverse a signed deal tonight. I'm asking three things. One, publish the actual leasing and selection process for the hub's remaining spaces. How were tenants chosen, and was local preference ever part of the criteria? Two, commit in writing to a local first review period for future openings, cafes, retail, small venues, before those spaces go to outside bidders. And three, report back to the public whether any Corona-based business applied for the space, and if not, why local outreach didn't happen before the decision was made. Corona residents aren't asking for a handout. We're asking for a fair shot at building our own downtown and for decisions about it to be made through a real, transparent process. If this project is truly about the community should come first. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rivas. And welcome back to Corona. We appreciate it. Okay, I know we had 8 cards, but are there any other last minute ads? All right, come on up. Welcome. Good to see you, Chad.
Sorry, a little late, but it was not traffic related. It was dinner. It was burnt. Chad Miller, City of Corona resident. I am here to I do have a flyer. I know the clerk can pull that up. I just want to thank the city for sponsoring our Memorial Day 9/11 event. I have the flyer up on the screen. The logistics are coming along very well. We're expecting a great turnout, and hopefully some press will be out here, so we're very thankful for that. As the newly appointed Voluntold Chamber Foundation board chair, I'm excited about this event. It is the 25th anniversary of 9/11. And a lot of our younger generation is not aware of that day and the courage and the response and the heroes that were there. And then those, as we look at each of the flags that are placed, the new number is 2,998 flags of those who lost their lives. The number was updated on the National Registry to update like unborn children and others that were previously not identified before. So this event is taking place on 9/11. The reading of the names will take place at 5 a.m. For those of you who have nothing better to do than sleep, come on out. We would love to have you there. The official program does start at 8 o'clock, so we'd love to get the word out to all the staff. I know it's a Friday, so it'd be a great day to come out in the morning and spend time just remembering and being there for the ceremony. So we appreciate that. There's a QR code there. We'd love to have you sign up. There's volunteer things to do, laying out the flags, cleaning up, standing watch. So we'd love to see community participation. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it. All right, Ms. Edwards, any other speaker cards?
Mayor, we do not have any more speaker cards.
Okay, so then we're moving on to item 8 of the agenda, which is public hearings. 8.1, Zone Text Amendment 2026-0001 to Chapter 17.70 of the Corona Municipal Code to update water-efficient landscape requirements to reflect changes in state law and to update outdated fencing regulations. Does a council member want staff on this item? We have a yes. Yes, we do. All right, so we're going to go to Danny Castro, our Interim Planning and Development Director, who's going to provide that report.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. This is, again, an ordinance to update the landscape and fencing regulations. The ask is to approve a zone text amendment to update the water-efficient landscape and fencing regulations in Chapter 17.70 of the Corona Municipal Code. The chapter on landscaping, fences, walls, and hedges, this contains citywide zoning regulations for landscaping, fences, walls, and hedges. It includes water-efficient landscape regulations consistent with the state's Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance, that's MWELO for short. The last significant landscape update was in 2010. What is MWELO, the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance? It serves as a statewide landscape model for local agencies to implement and enforce minimum water efficiency standards in landscape design, construction, management, and maintenance. It does drive water efficiency through water budgets, thoughtful soil management, selection of plants, irrigation, and alternative water sources. It does apply to landscape projects that meet certain size thresholds. And the last updates that the city had made, that the last update the state made to the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance was in 2015 and in 2020. So our update here is to reflect those recent updates from the state. So what is being updated? Again, the state mandated water efficient landscape regulations consistent with state law, and along with that, we are updating our residential fencing standards. So kind of important to clarify that what is not changing, and we're not doing a complete change to our landscape and walls and fences ordinance. What's not changing and what remains is we continue to have requirements for drought-tolerant landscaping and water-efficient irrigation. Our landscape permitting process essentially is the same, although there is one addition to that. The landscape in the public right-of-way does not change. Turf continues to be prohibited in commercial and industrial developments, except when they're allowed for recreation or functional purposes. And it also is limited in residential front yards. For fences and walls, wood pickets, although not explicit in our code, they have historically been allowed and they will continue to be allowed. Security fences, no changes. And the list goes on here of regulations that do not change as a result of this ordinance update. So what is changing? The permitting thresholds do change in terms of the threshold for the size of landscape area. Currently for new landscapes that are 2,500 square feet or greater in area, the new landscapes now are reduced to 500. Again, this follows the state required threshold for permits for landscapes. And then for any rehabilitated landscapes, it's currently 5,000. That threshold has been reduced to 2,500 square feet of rehabilitated landscape area. The compliance process, this is the permitting process. We currently have this performance compliance. Won't go into all detail on that, but again, this applies to 2,500 square feet or greater landscape areas. It does require a comprehensive landscape package, landscape plan, grading, irrigation, soil management, and water usage calculations. There is a more simpler process that the state has created and that we would implement, which is for projects, smaller landscape projects from 500 to 2,500 square feet. It's more simplified. It just requires a drawing of the landscape, the type of plants being chosen that's submitted to city staff. We review it for its compliance. And again, the turf regulations have been in place, but we are clarifying in our code that all areas that are non-residential where turf is prohibited, that includes institutional development, except when the turf is for recreation or functional purposes. For front yards, the fencing, we are proposing to increase the height of fencing from 3 feet to 4 feet allowed in the front yard, and decorative fixtures, which are pilasters. When fences have pilasters, we would allow for the decorative features to exceed the 5 feet to up to 6 feet. And that's like light fixtures or sometimes decorative balls or pilaster type fixtures. Again, clarifying that wood picket fences are allowed and permitting more types of fencing materials than we currently allow. And those fencing materials, because advancements in materials and fences look better now, street and aluminum panel fences, steel, and aluminum panel fences, wrought iron and tubular steel vinyl fences, decorative masonry, which include concrete, cement blocks, brick, stone, fiber cement, and similar durable materials. So this is an example of the type of fences that we would expand to allow. With regard to non-combustible fencing, the new non-combustible fencing materials, what I've just described, steel and aluminum and concrete and fiber cement, does allow properties within the very high fire severity zone to comply with upcoming state restrictions for Zone 0 areas. Zone 0 areas, and this illustration to the top right in this image, are an area between 0 to 5 feet from the perimeter of your home, where it does limit combustible type attachments to your home, which includes fencing. So the image to the bottom right would allow you to, if these materials were non-combustible, they would be allowed to be, as illustrated on the bottom right, be attached and be within that 5 feet Zone 0 area. For outdoor recreational and sport courts, currently our code says, it just says tennis courts, which allows where you can enclose a tennis court with a fence. And what this does is just expand it because it's not just tennis courts, but you could have pickleball courts, basketball courts, batting cages. So it just expands our current definition in our municipal code to make sure that it includes all type of outdoor recreation and sport courts. So the key takeaways of this ordinance is that smaller landscape projects will be required to obtain a landscape permit, but we'll also have the option for a more simpler and more streamlined process. Turf will be prohibited, continue to be prohibited in all non-residential developments. Residential properties will have increased front yard privacy, meaning that they will be able to allow fences to be a greater height from 3 to 4 feet, and more material options to be allowed. And just to be clear that these new regulations do not apply retroactively. And the ask is to approve a zone text amendment to include the update to the water efficient landscape and fencing regulations in chapter 17.70. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Castro. Public hearing was opened on July 1st, the city council meeting. So Ms. Edwards, has the city clerk's office received any correspondence or any speaker cards from the public regarding this item?
Mayor, we did not receive correspondence or speaker cards for this item.
Now, Ms. Edwards, do I close public hearing and then come back to the dais, or come back to the dais and then close public?
You can close the public hearing and then have the discussion.
Public hearing is now closed. So coming back to my colleagues for questions, comments. Councilmember Richens? Did you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I asked for this item to be delayed because when I first read it, to just be honest with you, I think I was in a mood, and I was ready to go to battle stations. But after rereading it this last weekend, it wasn't as drastic as I thought it would be. But I still have some questions. And the first one is it a state law that we can't no longer have wood fences? Like, what's driving the no wood fences?
The fence update is not related to the state's requirements for the landscaping. So it's a separate ordinance. We're including it as part of this ordinance update, but this is something that we are updating because it's part of that chapter.
Okay, so then let me ask a follow-up question. Is it still okay in Corona to build a wood fence?
A wood picket fence, yes.
Not a wood picket fence, that's a whole different thing. A backyard, dog-eared wood fence, 6 foot high, can you, in
Yes.
Corona, build that fence?
Yes. This is specifically just clarifying the wood picket fence in the front yard.
Okay, and then my follow-up request would be, the city used to have standards for wood fences, and they no longer do. So can we reintroduce a standard for a wood fence? And then that way a homeowner doesn't have to hire an architect to draw a detail for a simple wood fence. I think that could be part of our Corona standards. You agree?
I agree.
Okay.
Well, if council wants us to do that, then we agree. So that would be a good motion to make.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Hold on, we're gonna come back.
I was checking with my boy. All right, my next question is I'm still against this ordinance, and I'll tell you why. I'll vote yes for it, but this ordinance, it's state controlled, and I get it, and it's state mandated. But this is gonna force homeowners to start hiring landscape architects for small remodels. 500 square feet is small. So when you go to remodel a house or re-landscape your front yard, you're gonna be forced into a $2,000 to $5,000 landscape architect, right? And it's just, and what they're designing, grass is cheap. All these low tolerant bushes and the water zones and the infrastructure to go with them, it's gonna increase costs even more. So I am against that because people want to take care of their houses the way they want to take care of their houses. They don't want the state telling them how to do it. But again, I get this is state derived. For the certificate of completion, I started Googling certificate of completions for at the end of the job when you're saying, hey, I'm compliant to these ordinances, these landscape laws. If you go to Inyo County, you'll find a 14-page certificate of completion that's just completely obnoxious. And if you head over to San Jose, you'll see a 1-page certificate of completion. and it's very simple. So what is Corona certificate of completion going to look like?
I'm sorry, can you repeat? So the certificate of completion for
At-
having a landscape that's compliant?
Yeah, so if I read the ordinance right, and I think I did, you submit your blueprints to the city, you get approved, you build, you go through final inspections, you get signed off, and then when you get signed off by the city, it's the homeowners or the business owner's responsibility to sign a certificate of completion and submit it to the city. And the certificate of completion is a city form that the homeowner signs, and it says, hey, I got these sprinklers in place, I've complied with the plants that I was supposed to plant. Are we gonna have a simple certificate of completion, or are we gonna have a complicated certificate of completion?
It should be a simple form, but it just acknowledges that it's in compliance and it's according to the plans as presented and submitted to the city.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to it. Simple is the answer, and there's no fee to give this certificate of
No,
completion?
that would be included in the fee for.
Plan check fees, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I can clarify, Mayor, that for rehabilitated landscapes for residential, the threshold is 2,500. So typically, front yards are smaller, typically. I mean,
But
if we
the-
have larger ones, but for new landscapes, it would be 500, but for
Right.
any rehabilitated landscape. So if you, right now, wanted to redo your landscaping, if your front yard area, which is typically 25 feet in depth or even 20 feet in depth, maybe 100 feet in width, may not hit that threshold.
That's fair, but it's gone from 2,500 to 500. And it also includes new construction and remodels, right? It's not just new construction only.
Right.
It's remodel, and so that triggers it.
I think that's my question is, he used the word rehab, and what does rehab mean versus remodel and?
It is one and the same,
Okay.
remodeling. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have delayed this a couple weeks ago or whenever I delayed it. I just wanted to make sure it was done right, and I wanted to ask follow-up questions, and just, there's real costs that people are now incurring because of this ordinance, and it's frustrating. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Richards. Vice Mayor?
I just had thank you for that clarification, rehab versus, so if someone pulls a permit, anything in their home, are they gonna and it has nothing to do with their front yard, are they gonna have to shrink their front yard?
No,
Okay.
no. Only if that includes a landscape plan.
So if they're gonna do something in their front yard that requires a permit, then they would have to comply with this rule?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, just because if, someone goes and they replace their water heater, they're not going to have to shrink their, get a water heater permit, they're not going to have to shrink their front yard.
We would also measure their front yard to see if it fits that threshold. If it's
At
less
the
than
time?
2,500.
No, I'm saying, so say someone goes in to get their water heater permit, their replacement, are they going to have to submit something saying how big their front yard is?
Not if it doesn't include a landscape plan.
Okay, so what kind of project would include a landscape plan?
If you were either doing a significant portion of your entire front yard area, and typically it's when someone is doing a major addition or, a remodel of their home, that's the only time it would trigger.
So would that be like something that would affect the front of their house? I'm just trying to, because what's going to end up happening is I don't want this, us to vote for this. People are going to be confused and say, well, if I do any kind of project, is it going to, what's the tie to my front yard?
Only if you are doing landscaping
Okay.
changes.
And then what is the cost of this permit?
It's associated with the building permit. I don't have that, but I believe it's less than 300.
Okay.
And if you're smart, Wes, you'll just remodel 499 square feet of your front yard.
Yeah, or not. Okay, I mean, I agree with Councilman Richens that, and this is another insane, I mean, I get it from a standpoint, we're trying to reduce water, I understand, and, You know, in this city, and as every other city, we have to pay for the water that we use or not use. So I understand that. I just see this just another encroachment in people's lives, and then you can't, I'm just thinking of, you know, being a kid, or even my first house going, oh boy, what kind of plants am I gonna put in my front yard? And I wanna say, that pretty blue one over there, now I have to figure out what species it is to write it on a piece of paper. This is just another march toward madness. So, all right, thank you.
Okay. So bringing it back up, I'll entertain a motion. I think there was a thought of an alternative motion, so I'll let you take a stab at it, Councilmember Richens.
Oh, good grief. My alternative motion was wood fences, right?
It was, I thought, to include, like, standards.
Standards for wood fences, correct. Okay. All right.
So hold, real quick, Mr. Derleth, in order to make that alternative motion, does he read this motion and then add to it? How does he have to proceed?
Well, I presume, and I asked staff, but I presume what he's talking about with respect to the standards for the picket fence is going to be a little bit more complex than what we can come up with tonight, right? So if the direction is just for staff to bring that portion back,
It's not complicated. The city used to have them. They just no longer, they took them out of their inventory. I'm sure they're on a hard drive somewhere.
right, but including it in tonight's, or I'm asking, is the intent to include it in tonight's ordinance or provide direction to staff to bring back so that it can be codified?
Just include it in the ordinance. I don't think it's complicated.
We-
Legally, what is needed, Mr. Derleth, in order for standards to be included in this change so that future homeowners have something to go off of?
Unless staff can recite off the top of their head what this language would be to include?
I'll tell you what, I'll make it a future, let's do this, just to keep it simple. I'll make it a future agenda item request, because I want to tie it in with, also in this ordinance, it talks about trash enclosures a little bit, and I'd like to get the roofs off of trash enclosures as well. So I'll do future agenda items requests on those too, and then I'll just read the ordinance for today.
All right,
I don't know that that's-
so just read tonight's introduction waiver and then just add what you want staff to come back, and that'll be the motion. So you're adopting the ordinance and having staff bring back what it is that you want.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Introduced by title only and waive full reading of consideration of ordinance. I hope you all vote no on me, so I just wasted my time. Introduced by title only and waive full reading of consideration of ordinance number 3431, first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 7.70 of title 17 zoning of the Corona Municipal Code to update water efficient landscape requirements to reflect changes in state law and to update outdated fence regulations and amending various other sections in Title 17 to update references to Chapter 17.70 ZTA 2026-0001, and then to further instruct staff to bring back standards for wood fences and revisit standards for trash enclosures with the emphasis on roof structures on trash enclosures.
Passes. All right, I will second that. Please vote.
Vice Mayor Speed, can we get your voice vote, please?
His screen is not responding.
No.
Okay, that item passes 4-1. Okay, moving on to item 9, administrative reports, update on options for Magnolia Avenue and El Sobrante Road corridor improvement. We're going to have Aaron Cox, our principal engineer, present this item. Welcome. Councilmember Richens wants to talk about wood fencing. Aaron, I'm so sorry. Can we put it a little closer? Thank you. So we catch. I think, is it on? It's not on. I can't hear it. So maybe, is the battery dead? The team will switch out the mic. Oh, now.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Go ahead and switch it out because it's going to die on you during the presentation. All right. Go ahead and let's give it a shot. Nice. There we go.
All right, let's try this again.
Let's try it again.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Aaron Cox, and I'm here to talk to you about Magnolia Avenue and El Sobrante Road Corridor Improvement Strategy. This is in response to a future agenda request from Vice Mayor Speak. And I'm joined by Joshua McNeil from Iteris, our consulting firm, who authored the study that I'm going to talk to you about. And he'll be available to assist in answering questions tonight. So we're here to talk about Magnolia. We're all familiar with Magnolia Avenue. It is a 6-lane major arterial. There's 46,000 cars per day that use this. This area over by El Sobrante has 3 closely spaced intersections. 2 of them are City of Corona owned, and 1 of them is Caltrans owned. There's businesses on both sides with full access to and from Magnolia Avenue. And the corridor serves businesses, schools, and commuter traffic. Some of the challenges with this area of Magnolia Avenue, it's difficult to coordinate city traffic signals with Caltrans signals because they're so closely spaced together. Magnolia is already built to the ultimate right-of-way, widening is not feasible, and we have competing objectives. The city wants to prioritize movement of Magnolia traffic, and Caltrans doesn't want their off-ramp to back up onto the freeway, causing deadly accidents. Some of the additional challenges we have in this corridor are driver behavior. We're all familiar with this area. This picture illustrates what we see every day. There's traffic congestion blocking the intersection. We have people cutting in front of each other to beat each other to the light. We have impulsive lane changes and weaving. Not shown in this picture, but that shopping center is regularly used for cut-through traffic from Rimpau to El Sobrante. And we see a lot of people ignoring the yellow and the red lights. When the light turns, they go anyway. So what improvements to date have we accomplished here? In spring of 2025, we actually removed a crosswalk. And what that did was it enabled the intersection at El Sobrante to not have to transition in and out of coordination to serve a crosswalk movement that was very seldomly used. Additionally, we did a study and we updated our signal timing along this corridor, the whole stretch of Magnolia to the freeway, all the way up to Ontario. We worked with Caltrans on this effort, and we've arrived at what we have today. Subsequently, we performed an additional traffic study that I'm going to talk to you about today that analyzed the existing signal operations and proposed alternatives to help congestion at this area of Magnolia and El Sobrante. And coming soon, we will have our AI implementation, or adaptive traffic signal control, which will enable our system to respond to dynamic demands of traffic. This is my favorite slide because this is what I do every day. Why additional signal timing alone will not solve the problem out here? We've studied it, we've optimized it, it's been analyzed, it's kind of the best it's going to get. The crosswalk removal helped us because it takes away a cause of signal timing transitions. As most of the drivers in here know, the El Sobrante timing is very short to maintain progression along Magnolia, trying to get the most cars through these signals as possible. AI can help, but it's not going to be a lifesaver. It can make small improvements where then there are deviations from normal traffic. And honestly, the closely spaced intersections is what limits further improvement, and roadway geometry is the remaining constraint here. So the council direction we were given was to study the corridor with a review of existing conditions and analyze various alternatives to alleviate congestion on Magnolia Avenue at El Sobrante. Provide details on impacts to motorists and businesses. Before I get into the study details, I want to be very clear about what is and what is not before the council tonight. Staff is not asking council to approve construction or implement access changes tonight. We completed a planning level traffic study at council's direction. Tonight we're presenting the results and asking whether council wants us to stop here or take a preferred concept into preliminary engineering and public outreach. With that context, I'll walk you through the study, the alternatives we evaluated, and the trade-offs associated with each. So we studied 18 intersections in the city of Corona that surround this area. You can see them on the map here. I think we're all pretty familiar with this area. And we evaluated delay. We evaluated queuing, how many cars stack up. We evaluated where would traffic get redistributed to. We evaluated some safety. We looked at corridor operations as a whole, and we looked at business access. And we arrived at 3 alternatives that we analyzed in this report. Alternative A is what we'll call the no build, or a baseline condition. There's no changes to what's out there. We maintain a recently implemented signal timing along Magnolia Avenue. Alternative B is we remove the traffic signal at El Sobrante Road. We convert El Sobrante Road to right-in, right-out access only. Similarly, across the street, we convert the Corona Marketplace side of the signal to right-in, right-out only at Magnolia Avenue. And alternative C is right-in at El Sobrante, but no access from El Sobrante to Magnolia. It also removes the traffic signal at this location. And similarly, it converts the Corona Marketplace Shopping Center side of the signal to right-in, right-out. And I'll show you what these look like. Pardon me. So alternative A is the no build. We're all familiar with the existing conditions out here. So we studied how well is it performing today. And today we have one intersection that has a less than acceptable level of service. Level of services are rated A through F, and the city has guidelines on what is acceptable and what isn't. So today the intersection of Rimpau Avenue and Corona Marketplace South driveway operates at an E in the morning and an F in the PM. Those are what we call failing. The rest operate at various levels of acceptable levels of service. We also evaluated today's queuing. We have 2 locations today where we have what's called queue spillback. There's too many cars that want to make the left turns and it spills back into the through lanes. So those are shown here, both in AM and PM conditions. And moving on to alternative B, which is the removal of the traffic signal and converting to right-in and right-out movements. This is what that could look like. We convert El Sobrante Road to right-in, right-out. We convert the Marketplace signal to right-in, right-out. We would remove the traffic signal at El Sobrante and Magnolia, and we'd extend the median and the striping through the intersection, gaining us an additional queuing area for the Rimpau movement. So obviously, if we take away movements, we have to redistribute traffic. People need to get to these locations that they used to get to. How would they do that? So if we're taking away the eastbound Magnolia left turn onto El Sobrante, how would we get to El Sobrante? Well, from this, there's 2 directions we could go. We could go eastbound on Magnolia and make a U-turn at El Camino/Downs and come back and make a right onto El Sobrante. Or we could take a detour which goes El Camino, 6th Street, and up El Sobrante, and we're there. Similarly, if we take away the westbound left turn into the Corona Marketplace, that traffic needs to be rerouted somewhere. It would get rerouted to Magnolia and Rimpau, south on Rimpau, and left into the shopping center. And if we take away the southbound left turn from El Sobrante onto Magnolia, which is already a pretty short movement today, as most of our drivers are probably familiar with, there's a large detour that would be required. You'd have to go northbound on El Sobrante, right or left on 6th Street, El Camino, and then turn on to Magnolia, and you'd be at the freeway. Or you could do a southbound right turn onto Magnolia and do a U-turn at Fullerton, and you'd be back. So obviously, when we redistribute traffic, we're taking an impact away from one spot and distributing it to other places. In our analysis, this caused Rimpau Avenue and Circle City and Rimpau Avenue and Corona Marketplace driveway to operate at unacceptable levels of service. Then we ran the analysis again. What if those were signalized? So we bring it from a D and an E to an A in both conditions. And we take it from an E and an F, failing conditions, and we can bring it up to a B during AM and PM peak hour. So effectively, we can mitigate the unacceptable outcomes, but we have some small outcomes in orange here where we go from a B to a C or a C to a D as we distribute traffic around these detours. Similarly with queuing, the cars need to get redistributed. So the left turns into the former shopping center driveway, now have to go to Rimpaw, and that causes some additional queue. But because we're striping and extending the median through the intersection, we're able to accommodate that queue in this new movement. So there are some corridor benefits from this alternative. Obviously, there's trade-offs to it too. For the corridor, we can save around 43 seconds per vehicle by removing the signal and converting these to right in and right out. That's an AM peak hour. And during the PM peak hour, we can save 37 seconds per vehicle. This is network-wide across all the distributed traffic. It helps the most people on Magnolia at the expense of distributing traffic around those reroutes. It reduces queue spillback to southbound I-15. It increases corridor reliability and safety because there's less weaving movements, there's less conflicting movements, arguably safer this way. There's some localized benefits. We can improve 2 of the intersections if we're signalized from lower levels of service, and we can bring them up to an A. We're maintaining signalized access to the Corona Marketplace Center. Instead of entering from Magnolia, you would enter from Rimpaw. And we're able to bring Rimpaw and Circle City up from a LOS-D to an A in both. The shopping center cut through the Corona Marketplace should be reduced because now there's not an incentive to cut through there. And now I'd like to talk to you about Alternative C, which is the removal of the traffic signal and converting to right in, no right out on El Sobrante, as well as right in, right out at the Corona Marketplace signal. This is what that could look like. Again, these are just very conceptual. Converting El Sobrante to right in only, there would be no access from El Sobrante back to Magnolia. We convert the Marketplace Shopping Center to right in, right out. We would remove the traffic signal and extend the median and the striping through the intersection. And similar to Alternative B, we have some of the same reroutes or detours. So again, for eastbound Magnolia, you could do a U-turn at Downs and El Camino, or you could take El Camino to 6th Street to El Sobrante. For westbound Magnolia, you would turn left on Rimpaw and left into the shopping center. And this is the larger change here. Because we've restricted southbound right turns as well as southbound left turns from El Sobrante onto Magnolia, the detour becomes rather significant. Traffic could be going north on El Sobrante, east on 6th Street, south on El Camino back to Magnolia, or you could go northbound to 6th Street west and come back on Rimpaw. So it's a larger detour for this alternative. This Alternative C had very similar effects to Alternative B. We still had the pronounced failure of Rimpaw and Circle City and Rimpaw and Corona Marketplace South. Again, these could be mitigated with a future traffic signal there. We do have some similar B to C and C to D drops in acceptable levels of service, which are highlighted in orange. Similar but not quite as pronounced results. You'd save 41 seconds per vehicle in the AM peak hour. You'd save 29 seconds in the PM peak hour per vehicle. Similar effects, it reduces the queue spillback to southbound I-15 ramp intersection. So the corridor becomes more reliable, less volatile, and there's increased safety from less conflicting movements and weaving. There are some localized benefits. If we signalize those 2 locations, we take them from unacceptable levels of service up to acceptable levels of service. And we still maintain a signalized access to the Corona Marketplace Shopping Center. And again, these are all just concepts that we were asked to look at and study. So here's a comparison of alternatives A, B, and C. And when comparing them, staff's recommendation is Alternative B. If this is a strategy we would like to pursue, Alternative B has the best results. The best delay reduction in the morning, the highest delay reduction in the PM peak hour. They both have similar safety improvements because there's less weaving, less conflicting movements, and less opportunities for poor driver behavior. There is a slight increase in queuing length at some of these intersections due to the rerouted traffic. And the big trade-off is access. The westbound Magnolia Avenue reroute to the shopping center, it's fairly minor. You go to the next signal, turn left, and then you need to have a signalized access into the shopping center again. But the eastbound Magnolia Avenue reroute is moderate, as you saw. That was the yellow line that took you to El Camino and around. So these are the trade-offs. You're trading corridor reliability and corridor delay for possibly, extended access or more circuitous access here. So staff's recommendation is if we wanted to pursue a strategy forward, we would look at alternative B. So the ask is that City Council direct staff to either take no further action on this, or we advance the preferred alternative into preliminary engineering and public outreach to refine the concept. We would evaluate an implementation details. We would return to council with a project scope, an engineer's cost estimate, and an implementation strategy for consideration as a future CIP project. And with that, I'd like to open it up to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cox, appreciate it. Okay, and just to be clear, again, this is a review of options to then move forward if there's desire to receive more information. So, thank you. Ms. Edwards, are there speaker cards from the public?
Mayor, we received 2 written comments in opposition of the proposed project. The written comments were sent to the full city council and will be part of the meeting minutes. We have 7 speaker cards for this item, and we also have attendees on Teams for this item.
Okay. Do you know how many folks are online?
So far, we have 2 hands up.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Cox, go ahead and we're going to take some speaker cards. Thank you. All right, we've got the 2 comments that were submitted in writing. Thank you so much. Speakers, come on up. Welcome back.
It's wild, the gaslighting that's going on here. As I'll read from the agenda, it says update on options for Magnolia Avenue and El Sobrante Road Corridor improvement. That's City Council A, adopt alternative A, take no further action. Adopt alternative B. It doesn't say anything about, hey, we're going to chat about this. We're going to have an encounter group. It doesn't say we're going to have some counseling about it. It says you're going to adopt the alternative. That's what it says. You want to talk around the agenda says what it says. It says what you want to do. It says what the staff wants to do. The problem is you haven't talked to anybody that's involved with this. You haven't gotten any input from anybody. You will definitely doom the 2 restaurants that are there and most likely the hotel. It will be gone. All 3 of them will be gone. If you live to the south, you will not be able to get in here. You're going to be taking a 1 to 2 mile detour to get tacos. You're going to have to cross the freeway twice. People don't do that. If you've ever been in the hospitality business or been anywhere near close to it, this is part and parcel for how this city does business. You guys don't have any skin in the game. You don't know how any of this works, and you don't talk to people that do know how it works. You didn't outreach to anybody along there. I walked to every one of the businesses on El Sobrante yesterday. Not one of them had been contacted by the city. You don't know where their customers come from. You don't know where their customers go to. None of the people in the shopping center know. This is going to kill a significant number of the businesses in that shopping center if you do this too. There's not going to be an option for people that work on El Sobrante to get into the shopping center except take some very convoluted rat maze to the back slope driveway of the shopping center. They're just not going to go. That's not how it's going to work. It's incredible to me that a bunch of people who don't live around that area can make decisions that are going to, just like on McKinley, yank away livelihoods from people, put people out of work, and destroy a chunk of the economy for this city. And none of that's even discussed. You're just talking about a median. Well, it's just a median. So we could save possibly 30 seconds or maybe 40 seconds if we do this. But there's no discussion of the costs that are going to be put on these businesses. How many people are going to be out of work? So we're going to be pouring one out for C-Click Fix, Castaneda's, and the Holiday Inn, and Calaveras. All 3 of them are going to be gone. But hey, we're going to be able to save 30 seconds ripping down Magnolia. You really ought to be ashamed of yourself.
That is not the intent of tonight, but thank you for your feedback. Next speaker. Hi, Maddie. Welcome. Welcome back.
Maddie Paxton again. This is my area. I take that 99% of the time when I leave. I live in Villa Corona. I go out the back gate. My GPS says it's a 900-foot to the light. I have waited as long as 10 minutes to go 900 feet because of the way this is. And that has not been taken into consideration. I had sent many suggestions to Savat over the years. One of the things that I have requested, because I take it all the time, or for those that think that they're better than the rest of us, is stanchions. I would love to see the idea of having stanchions put in, which does impact the way this intersection works. I'd say most of the time that I use this, several times a week, some smarty has to cut in front of somebody because they're not willing to wait in line or know how this works. That's number one. Number two, I asked him if depending upon how we go with this, above on the lights, to have some kind of sign that points down that says, this is where you need to be for Rimpau, instead of taking the other lane that goes straight ahead to cut across. There's other things that just need to be considered for those of us that live right on that corner. We have problems. We were not asked about this, and this is the way we leave, because we can't go out the front gate on Rimpau because we sit forever, especially during school time hours. We can't make that left turn. So we have to go out the back gate. And again, none of you have taken that into consideration. I know it's not the intersection, but it really affects the intersection. So I'd like that to be considered as part of this design, because it's really important for us. What is it, almost 200 families that live there. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. All right, next speaker, come on up. Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Brandon Vicente. I am with the general manager of the Holiday Inn Express that's located near Circle City Drive and El Sobrante Road. I am here tonight to respectfully oppose both Alternative B and Alternative C as currently proposed. I absolutely recognize that there is a traffic problem on Magnolia Avenue, particularly when the traffic begins backing up towards Interstate 15. As a business operating in this area every day, we experience that congestion ourselves. My concern is whether permanently restricting access to El Sobrante is the appropriate solution. This isn't only about our hotel guests. The businesses in this area have employees, managers, vendors, delivery vehicles, customers, and other people who use El Sobrante and Magnolia every day. Many of us also use Interstate 15 as our primary route to and from work. Alternative B may improve traffic flow on Magnolia, but it also accomplishes that in part by removing existing movements at El Sobrante and forcing traffic onto other routes. Alternative C restricts that access even further. The city's own comparison acknowledges these rerouting impacts from the perspective of businesses located in the corridor, reducing delay on Magnolia by creating additional inconveniences by a long-winded and extensive travel route for the people trying to access these businesses is not necessarily an overall improvement. I also believe we need to distinguish between traffic traveling through the area and also traffic actually generated by the businesses in this area. From personal account and what I observe operating here every day, congestion becomes particularly problematic during periods that correspond with school drop-off and pickup. If a substantial portion of this problem is concentrated within relatively short periods of the day, I question whether the appropriate response is a permanent 24-hour restriction on El Sobrante access. Let's see. Before approving whether Alternative B or C, I respectfully ask the city to provide additional analysis separating day of week from school day and non-school day conditions, school arrival and dismissal periods, weekends and periods when school is not in session. I also ask the city to examine alternatives that preserve the existing movements at El Sobrante, whether specifically addressing those peak congestion periods through signal coordination, traffic management, enforcement, intersection improvements, or targeted measurements. The city's own study shows that the existing El Sobrante Road and Circle City Drive intersections currently operates at a level of service A during the AM peak and B during the peak. I also wanted to just make a quick comment. We also had ownership send over some notes for his comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate your feedback. All right, next speaker, Mr. McQuay. Welcome back.
Can you put up that first slide that I gave you? Thank you. I'm just wondering, first of all, I want to say thank you for tackling this. I know there is no easy answer here. This is the worst intersection period in the city. There's no other way around it. So if we want to make people happy because everybody is complaining, we have to do something. I'm not convinced right now that I don't know if all of the options have been considered, and I would ask that maybe on the agenda it said an option D where we hybrid things and we ask staff to come back with better solutions might not be the best thing. I think right in, right out in El Sobrante and right in, right out at the shopping center is a step, but I don't know if the consulting team, what is it, Iteris, if they considered like a CFI, which is what I'm showing you here. It's called a continuous flow intersection. It wouldn't work there with El Sobrante, but it would work if El Sobrante is right in, right out. And basically what it does is it extends the left turn lanes by switching them over. This is also in California, this is called an X intersection, but it has a different name everywhere else. The ability of these intersections to handle process the volume of vehicles passing through is known as traffic capacity. Generally, the higher the capacity, the more vehicles per hour an intersection can process. A continuous flow intersection has the highest capacity that the US DOT can construct without building a bypass bridge. So this is the Ferrari, this is the Jaguar. Our problem is we have a bridge on one side, so it does make it a challenge, but the minimum lengths for the left turns to switch those over and be back out of traffic flow is about 300 feet, 300 to 500, which we can make happen with the distance that we have. The advantage to these is that they can speed things up by up to 30, or reduce congestion by up to 35%, because you're taking the left-hand turn lane and the straight through is going at the same time. It's reducing a turn cycle. These have been used 40 of the busiest intersections in the country. Was it 40 or 50? I'm sorry. They've put these in like 25 of them, and they've had a congestion decrease of between 20 to 37%. That's proven. That's on the ground. We can prove that. I don't know if that'll work or not, but it's definitely something that I would like for you to ask staff to consider and have us look at as an alternative option. I don't think we've looked at all the options yet. And I think a CFI would be really appropriate here if we're going to reroute El Sobrante.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
McCoy. Appreciate your feedback. All right, next speaker. Hi, welcome.
Hello, my name is Mercedes. I actually live on the intersection of Circle City and Rimpaw, so this is a huge thing for me. That area is a one-way both ways. If we're going to install a light, how many months of congestion am I having to be inflicted on? Trying to get in and out of my house right now is already hard. Our driveways back up directly onto Circle City Drive. If we're installing a stop light versus a stop sign that has continuous flow, what does that look like when the school gets out? Can I get out of my driveway now? How is the city going to help me be able to navigate my own area if that's the course we take? And then on the topic of bad driver behavior in that area, no one's gonna take a 5-route detour to get anywhere. So how many of those people are now coming down Rimpaw, speeding through a residential area to get to El Sobrante or to get out of El Sobrante? Whatever direction the city takes for that intersection, it has to be a really good one. I know that intersection is horrible coming in and out. I don't know what the answer is, but to be honest, to have extra cars coming down Rimpaw is a huge concern, especially with the South Mall being revamped. That's gonna have apartments, restaurants, all those cars are then going to be getting on the freeway. We're trying to attract them. Are they now coming down Rimpaw because we can't go up and down El Sobrante. I think those are things that need to be taken into consideration. You're asking us to endure months and months of change to save someone 40 seconds going down Magnolia. I think another big concern is that intersection on Rimpaw and Magnolia. In order for me to turn left from Rimpaw onto Magnolia to get on the 15, I will have to sit anywhere from 3 to 4 lights. That light only allows 2 cars to go. I know you guys did a traffic study and lights were adjusted, but I would like to know exactly how long that light sits green for us to go. You get 2 cars on green, 2 on yellow, 1 on red. That's a huge traffic concern. So what is the timing? It was before the adjustment. What is the timing now? What change can be made there? Let's see. I'm also concerned if we do add a light on Circle City to 6th Street is a small intersection, just like at the shopping center there. That's going to impose more traffic. Traffic study already said it's a bad idea. Going into that shopping center as well, it's a small light from Rimpaw to California. I think it's going to create more traffic in that area for all of us who are living there, not including the school traffic. I do think it is a great idea to specify when those studies are being conducted, days and times as well, so we can see that to have some more options to go off of. That's it. Thank you.
It's great feedback. Thank you so much for your comments. Okay, next speaker, come on up. Hi there, welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gilbert Robles, a longtime resident, first-time speaker. I'm here tonight to speak in support of my friend's business, Calaveras, which will be directly impacted by these proposed changes. I understand something needs to be done at the intersection. Traffic is a real problem, and I know working with Caltrans is never easy. That said, I strongly hope Alternative C does not move forward. Alternative B may look good on paper somewhat with the claimed time savings, but my concern is that it will be a real inconvenience. People will have to make U-turns or take longer routes just to get into local businesses or simply move through the area. That kind of friction doesn't just slow drivers down, it pushes customers away. We've already seen what happens when access becomes difficult. For example, businesses near the McKinley Bridge lost exposure and became harder to reach, and many of them never recovered. I don't want the businesses along this stretch of the road to end up in the same situation, so please consider the long-term impact on the local businesses that depend on easy access, and if they are impacted, will you provide these businesses some sort of assistance or compensation? Thank you.
Thanks, Gilbert. Is this really your first time speaking? I thought you...
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, thank you. Thanks so much. All right, next speaker. I thought we had 7 speaker cards. Okay, that's all right. If you've changed your mind, that's all right. We have 2 speakers online, right, Ms. Edwards? Let's
Yes,
try the first.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, we can hear you.
Great. My name is Asia Havlik. Good evening to the mayor and council members. Thank you for allowing us to join via Teams. As a busy mom of 3, this is really helpful to have this opportunity. I am a Corona resident, and I'm a parent who uses the Corona Marketplace to access at Magnolia and El Sobrante every day to reach tutor time, which I don't think was taken into consideration here. This is located at the back southeastern corner of the shopping center that you are proposing to impact. Thank you, Joe, just for notifying us. I had no idea until today, so that was really disheartening to stress about. I understand that the city's goal is to reduce congestion on Magnolia. However, I'm concerned that alternative B and C solves one bottleneck by moving that traffic to another location. The traffic study shows that alternative B works by rerouting drivers away from El Sobrante and Magnolia. For families like mine, that means losing the most direct access point into the shopping center and being forced to enter from Rimpaw instead. I'm not sure if the staff who recommended B are parents or are aware that Tutor Time serves several dozen of our families every single day and operates multiple buses that travel in and out of that center from that very intersection. This is not just occasional shopping traffic that is being impacted. This is daily school traffic that is concentrated during morning drop-off and afternoon periods. My concern is that the proposal increases vehicle demand at Rimpau, which is closer to Centennial High School and already experiences significant traffic during school hours. While the study measures overall corridor delay, I ask the council to consider whether shifting traffic closer to a high school and concentrating more parents, student drivers, daycare traffic, and school buses into the same area truly improves the safety for our local families. The report notes that eastbound Magnolia reroutes are expected to be moderate. For parents like myself accessing tutor time, that reroute is not minor. That adds complexity, additional turns, and concentrates traffic at other intersections rather than eliminating it. Before moving forward, I ask council to evaluate the specific impacts on tutor time families, school buses, and the nearby school, as well as businesses that rely on this convenient access. Traffic efficiency is important, but access and safety for our families should carry equal weight in this decision. So I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Asia. Appreciate you being able to log on. Appreciate it. Okay, we have a second speaker on Teams. Let's see. I can't see who it is. Ms. Edwards?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. My name is Ali Azevedo. I am actually the director at the Tutor Time located hidden in that corner of the Corona Marketplace. And I understand the need to address the congestion. It is terrible. I drive it every day. And anyone who travels through this intersection during the peak hours knows that it is very challenging. However, I feel options B and C are most definitely not in our best interest, as well as the other businesses in our shopping center. We are, like I said, a childcare and early education center that serves dozens of local families, and 90% of our families are low income, and we are one of the few low income accepting childcares in our area. With that being said, every morning and evening, afternoons, parents are dependent on convenient access to our center. Many of these families are commuting from our shopping center to Corona, taking that 15 to Riverside. So it definitely impacts beyond just that 35 to 40 seconds delay. Our school transportation is also affected. And I want to state this with utmost respect, but very clear and stern on the fact that the alternative exits in that shopping center for our buses create a serious and unacceptable safety hazard for not only our community, but for our school children that we transport. The only other exit options are the two access points near where that Han Sushi and the Marine building had burnt down. One is restricted to right turns only. Right turn in, right turn out. The other requires drivers to make an unprotected left turn directly into the oncoming traffic on Rimpau from both directions. There's no stop sign, no traffic light. Anyone who's used that exit understands the dangers that come with exiting from there. It's not a minor inconvenience, like I said. Families, parents, students, and school staff should be forced to use those hazardous exits every day. Even more alarming, school buses carrying dozens of children would be required to make the dangerous left turns into active traffic. We would knowingly be increasing the risk of a serious collision involving our children. It's simply, unacceptable to argue that an increased danger is preferable over everybody wanting a few seconds of traffic to die down. Seconds of delay versus potential life-changing injuries or worse. No traffic plan should force families and school buses into unsafe turning movements when a safer, controlled option already exists.
Thanks, Allie.
Sorry.
No, you're
And
okay.
then-
Thank you, though.
Okay.
Allie, thank you so much for your feedback. We really appreciate you being able to log on remotely and share your thoughts. Thank you. Ms. Edwards, are there any other speaker cards, any other speakers online?
We don't have anybody that has their hand raised, but we did receive an additional blue card.
Okay, then whoever submitted the blue card, come on up to the mic. All right, welcome. Hi, good evening.
Mark Moran,
Hi, Mark.
2424 Mesquite Lane in glorious Corona.
Thank you, Mr. Moran.
I was just driving through that area this afternoon twice, so I understand the hardships completely. And during that time period, I did note that there was a big rig blocking the entire lanes going towards the shelter from Rimpow. So I saw it live and in Technicolor. One of the things I wanted to point out, though, I'm from New York, if you can't tell from my diction, so I'm kind of accustomed to roadways being changed during the course of a day. I read the traffic report. I noted particular ideas, A, B, C. One thing I didn't see is like in New York City, we had, or they have, because I'm not there now, I live out here, I got to remember that, but they have situations where they will change road lanes going east and west out of New York City. And I know I've seen it around town where we have the bollards and we have ones that can be moved up and down or they can be removed. So one thing I was wondering, is it feasible, as the traffic engineer, to during certain parts of the day, I didn't see in the in the engineering report, the traffic engineer, there was no discussion whether there was particular time periods that were worse than others. Like I foresee like rush hour, maybe between the hours of 3 and 7, and in the morning between the hours of 7 and 10. Is it feasible, maybe perhaps ask the traffic engineer, is it feasible to make that left-hand turn off El Sobrante exit out? Put a new light, have it become totally red all the time, and put bollards there. Then somebody can't take a left, the big rig wouldn't be able to do what I witnessed this afternoon. That's one aspect. I was just thinking that. Another one that came to mind was a traffic cop. Pretty simple. It would also be a point of revenue enhancement for the city. Because I can tell you right now, I saw at least 4 or 5 violations just this afternoon, and that was on one trip. So that's just one idea I wanted to put out. Traffic cop maybe, or make those lanes, you know, the turn off during certain hours, and you see them around Southern California during X hours, lefts are not allowed, rights are not allowed, lanes are closed. Maybe that'd be one aspect. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Moran. Welcome to the Best Coast. We appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts. I know we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of comments. I'd like to bring back staff, and I'd also like to read from the staff report as well, the section on what's happening today. So staff report says, because this traffic study is a preliminary exercise, staff recommend that the preferred alternative be advanced into preliminary engineering and public outreach prior to establishing a capital improvement plan. This additional phase would refine the conceptual design, identify mitigation measures, develop preliminary cost estimates, conduct stakeholder outreach, and return to the City Council with a refined implementation strategy. So I just wanted to quote from the staff report, and I wanted to bring back staff to answer some of these questions. I know we have a lot of questions, but I want to first thank everyone for providing your feedback and get some answers before we come back to the dais. All right, Mr. Cox, I saw you taking notes, so go ahead.
Where do you want to start first?
I mean, you can pick. I took notes. If anything's missed, we'll be sure to ask.
Sure. One thing I failed to mention in the presentation is that in our collaboration with Caltrans, we understand that there's trade-offs for every one of these options. With the right-of-way we have and the geometry that is set up today, Caltrans would be supportive of options B or C because it makes the whole corridor better. So we were in communication with them. We even talked about can a future off-ramp exit onto El Sobrante and things like that. But as we talked through those are very bigger picture things that we can't handle just ourselves. That would have to be a big joint project with them. So just want to say some other opportunities or options were looked at, but for the purpose of this project and what we were asked to study, we focused on just El Sobrante options per the ask. That last gentleman, I believe his name was Mark, he had a great suggestion with dynamic lane assignments. We have seen that in cities like LA. That is something that could be looked at. One of the other previous comments was about signal timing at Rimpow and Magnolia. Through the study, that's how we come up with these values. And The amount of green time is assigned based off of how heavy that movement is. So even before our latest update, that left turn was particularly short as well. Same with El Sobrante. The example I like to get is, each signal has to serve a pie, right? And the biggest movement gets the biggest slice of pie. And the way to keep it working with Caltrans and their signals, and to keep the coordination going back and forth, is to have our green times on very similarly to their green times. The Caltrans ramp at I-15 southbound, it only serves 4 movements. Our intersection just adjacent to that serves 8 movements. So our slices of pie have to be shorter. And same with Rimpau. So we can evaluate it. It does change by time of day, how much green time is given to that particular left turn movement that was mentioned. We also have new detection out there, and sometimes it's not working perfectly yet. So I will have our staff go make sure that the vehicles are extending, because there should be a minimum green and they should extend up till a maximum. So we'll check to see that that part is working. And then as part of this AI project, we're also reevaluating the signal timing again to see if any changes can be made. So that was most of the comments I wanted to make in regards to some of those comments.
Okay.
One of the Zoom callers, I believe it was the tutor time, commented on the left turn into the Corona Marketplace. If B was a selected alternative to explore further, we were talking about a half signal there. So that would be a signalized movement into the shopping center like it is today. So instead of turning westbound left turn into the shopping center, you'd get a westbound left turn at Rimpau, and you'd have a signalized left turn into the shopping center. So that's preserved. I think those were most of the notes I took, but I'm
Thank you,
happy
Mr.
to
Cox.
answer yours.
Yeah, we'll bring it back to the dais. I know my colleagues and I have questions and then comments, so. Oh, you are very eager to go. Okay, we're going to let Vice Mayor jump in with questions and comments. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, I give you guys all the fun to do this, and thank you for listening, and thank you for getting through this. I will start off with the fact that of all of the, I'm very available to people, and I would say in the almost 8 years I've been on council, this is probably the #1 repeatable complaint that I get is, why is it such a short left-hand turn? I got rear-ended getting off the freeway. I can't get in, I'm trying to make a left-hand turn onto Rimpau, and there's cars that are blocking the way. I can't get in, I can't make a right turn on Rimpau because all the cars are blocking up. So, one of the options, or one of the ideas for this, is to look at options. I want to first address that appears this common misconception, and the mayor has covered it pretty well, that, yeah, we're not approving anything tonight. There's no final decision. I'm not going to repeat what the mayor said, but, I understand the frustration. Anybody who drives in this area, this was my exit off the freeway, for 28 years when I lived, at the top there of Magnolia, and it is challenging. In fact, I would say when I first started getting off there, I got a ticket. I'm trying to hustle through and get through, and yellow light, and I'm sitting there trying to get through, and I got a ticket because I ran a red light at El Sobrante. I knew I ran a red light, and I wasn't the only person that did it, and it happens every day because it's so frustrating to sit there. I also at the same time have been backed up onto the freeway and worried about somebody running into me and the jockeying that happens there. So I know that the complications there with Caltrans. This is not a new problem. I've talked to people that have, that actually were involved in the original design for this, and the option of trying to get off on El Sobrante, and that, the whole reasons why that didn't happen. And I understand, and maybe Mr. Cox, you can, correct me here, that's not allowed anymore. It'd be too short of if you think you're getting in an accident now, getting off the freeway, having an exit off at El Sobrante, A, is not allowed under the Caltrans guidelines. And then, any changes there would actually have to redesign the entire bridge. As you said, it would be a much, much bigger issue. The study defines congestions, the queue, the spillbacks, the weaving movements, the cut-through traffic, safety concerns. As Mr. Cox said, the signal timing has been adjusted, I can't tell you how many times. I've seen, staff out there adjusting it. People complain, it's constant. As was stated here tonight, 1 or 2 vehicles can get through, and you're right, people are running the red light there. But one of the questions I wanted to ask is, and I know you had it in the first time that we went over this, the left-hand, do you have those handy, the traffic counts on left, there we go, Mr. from my terrace.
Josh McNeil to help me out here.
Okay, so can I get the traffic counts for the left out of El Sobrante and the left onto El Sobrante?
So southbound left out of El Sobrante, is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
So that's roughly at 136 vehicles per hour in the AM and 149 in the PM.
Okay, and then northbound Magnolia left onto El Sobrante
Northbound, that's about 66 in the AM and 77 in the PM.
per hour.
Yes, per hour.
Okay, all right.
Those are the peak, so when I say AM and PM, those are the peak hours, right? Yeah.
Okay, great. The reality is that this council is attempting to address a problem, at least understand, and frankly, to work out the options for this and to let people know, hey, we've looked at every single option. We're trying to evaluate options to make it better. And in the end, we may not be able to make it better. But at least I can honestly say, when someone says, have you done the signal timing? Have you looked at other options? Is there any other way? I can say yes. I can absolutely say yes. And I want to make sure that I'm checking every box and we're going through each piece to make sure, because this is such a dramatic, area and such trauma. This is a design, we're trying to figure out something that came from a planning and design decision that was made decades ago. This doesn't mean that every proposed solution is the right solution. It means, however, we have an obligation to evaluate alternatives and understand the trade-offs between mobility, safety, neighborhood impacts, business access, and quality of life. And we were mentioned about the 40 seconds that people are going to save. The number of accidents here are astounding. They are off the chart. So we're not just talking about 40 seconds, and the backups that happen on the Magnolia, and I agree, and during school times, it is absolute chaos. And then you introduce in, which is one of the reasons when I first brought this up, I reached out to a engineer friend of mine, traffic engineer, that's very well versed in Corona, and he drew up all kinds of fun things, including slip ramps from Rimpau onto Magnolia that would cut behind the big giant pole there, extra right-hand turn lanes that would go onto Rimpau that would bring that out, to put additional room on both sides, elbow room as he called it. Those are all massive changes that would need to happen. It would cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't do them. I'm just saying that these are all options that we should, continue to explore, because it's such a pain in the butt. But however, it still doesn't fix the problem there at the intersection. I've also heard concerns from business owners. I reached out to a few business owners that would have been, either their egress or the folks that use that area to get in and out. For me, meaningful outreach is not optional. Before any changes are considered, I want to see direct engagement with businesses, as Mr. Cox said, and the mayor said. Yeah, we realize it's going to nearby residents. I didn't even think about Circle City Drive, and you're right. I've cut through Rimpau to go downtown, to go to the park, or to go to Silver Dollar Pancake House, and I've been one of those folks that have backed up onto Rimpau. I'm not going to talk about Caltrans. Yeah, so I'm happy that we've explored this. I'm happy that we're hearing more. I'm understand that each one of these has constraints and the give and takes, and we're here to talk about those. So I'm gonna kind of leave it there.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't have any other questions, except for I think you've answered those. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. There's some great discussion for some folks tonight that, brought up a lot of good, valid points that I wholeheartedly believe that we would have discovered when we started to do all of our outreach and talk to all of these folks. The one common thread that I saw was that nobody disagrees that the traffic here is terrible. Or maybe the only disagreement is this the worst place in Corona, or is there a more worse place? Either way, traffic is bad there. And so we didn't create the traffic. We're just trying to figure out a way to see if there is a way to fix some of the traffic and do that outreach. And, you know, we have very capable traffic engineers. They got all kinds of degrees and they're super smart about that. So I have all the faith in the world that they would be able to come up with something that if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't, they would say, we're not going to be able to make a positive change here. So I don't know if any of these are the right options. I would like to move forward and do the outreach and figure out if there's going to be, if any of these options are going to be viable, really. I don't know if we need to pick one of them and just say, yeah, let's focus on that one, rather than just say, what is the best way after we do the outreach? Because I'm not a traffic engineer. I would rely on them to say, this is going to be the biggest impact, or none of these are going to be an impact. So B or C, it's fine. Either way, just, you know, when we're doing the outreach, let's make sure that we understand what are the impacts. And, you know, there was a comment that was made earlier about gaslighting, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was in black and white on the agenda that just talked about how this is moving forward to go to do the outreach, to do the research. Why on earth would we start that until they've been given the instruction to do so by this body? That, to me, was gaslighting. Nothing that this council did. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Richens?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree that this intersection is just a bad intersection, and I think the root cause of it is just bad original design, right? And
it's been this way since the 60s. You know, they built the overpass and El Sobrante was there and they couldn't join them.
And when you design bad, you get bad, you live with your consequences. But that's, with that in mind, the challenge now is how do you fix it? And how do you repair it? And how do you do that with the least impact to others, right? So my questions are, Aaron, is the AI, I know the AI system for the city hasn't been turned on yet, but on that stretch of road, Magnolia, in that area, the AI has been put in place, right?
All the infrastructure for the AI to work is in place. It's getting turned on in phases, corridor by corridor. So that's coming soon. We have a consultant working on reevaluating the timing again, and that gives it a starting point, and then we'll be able to build an algorithm that would be able to adjust the timing from there. And the way it works is it takes unused capacity from any phase that's not being fully utilized and gives it to ones that need more. But in this intersection, if all the phases are completely utilized, there's not a whole lot of give and take it can do.
So then, would there be wisdom in waiting for the AI to be turned on, or do you just want to call it dead on arrival now?
No, we're going to see what it can do. We're going to see, you know, when conditions deviate from programmed conditions, can it make meaningful improvements? Because it's not 100% occupied all the time. So in the event that not all phases are saturated, it should be able to make some improvements.
Okay.
So there will be improvements to realize.
And so maybe it's worth waiting till that happens and measuring that success or failure, right? I guess one of my other questions is I'm really curious, so if the two shopping centers go right in, right out, is there a way to model if those shopping centers will become more successful because traffic is improved? Like, will those two shopping centers actually improve because of the right in and right out? Can you engineers model that, or can you not model that? Tough question, I know.
No, that is an interesting one. We can definitely take a look into it. It's not typically the extent of our analysis. It's usually, you know, hard numbers, delay, and what that does for the overall system. And we can take specific look at movements as well and drill down to that. But whether it affects the success or not, that's something that we would have to do a little more research on.
Okay, and if it goes forward, I think there would be value in that, right? and just get it out there, and it may be an incentive to go in that direction as well. It may not be. Economic impacts, Holiday Inn people, all the businesses on El Sobrante, there's Holiday Inn Express, Calaveras, Hyoka, Sunbelt, the dental office, Castañadas, there's a couple others, Johnstone, I think, and there's one more, Stone Equipment. I don't believe for a minute that the council doesn't love you guys and doesn't want you to be successful. I think it's quite the opposite. I think they do want you guys to be successful. And I don't believe for a minute that you would never play a role in the equation. I think there would be studies, I think there would be impacts, and it may be the ultimate decision does harm the businesses, and that would be sad. But I think there would be outreach and there would be studies first, and I think there would be a consensus of how to get to the best path forward with that in mind. But to say that the businesses would be ignored, I just don't believe it. And I do believe that you're beloved to this community. Holiday Inn people, whoever wrote your letter to the council, you guys know how to write a good letter. Good job. I really liked your, what a 5% impact could do to your sales. Whoever put that math together in 24 hours, nicely done. And those are my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Steiner?
So Aaron, I think it was about a year ago when you presented some options on how to make improvements in this area, and you've addressed some of the easier ones. And we asked you at the time to come back with some additional stuff we could do. And when I look at this, and I know I'm not an expert, but when I look at it, I just don't feel that we're there yet. And I keep going back to the unintended consequences of the businesses and the residents and the amount of money and time and outreach and engineering that it would take to save 40 seconds while we know is going to cause problems somewhere else, and improvements in places too. I'm not there yet. And right now I'm going to go with option A.
Thank you, Councilmember. So I have a few questions, and actually I have one specific question. So we've already made some improvements. I don't know how, as we're growing to better understand what a solution could be, we have suggested that improvements can result in a 40-second improvement for a vehicle. Do we have a measurement of improvement since the spring of 2025? Do we know, with the removal of the crosswalk, with the signal timing changes, and with the future AI implementation, in that same metric of vehicle per second, right? What is that?
Seconds per vehicle.
Seconds per vehicle. Do we know how much those changes have already improved?
I don't have that, but I have a different metric I could use.
Okay.
We have a third-party probe data dashboard. Basically, it's listening to your cell phone, your TomTom in your car, and it logs all that. So I can look at historical travel time on Magnolia, pre and post signal timing change, and pre and post crosswalk removal.
Gotcha.
I can try to record on that.
I mean, I'm curious because I think that, so we know that this intersection, if designed today, would not be allowed to exist the way it does. We know that this is terrible. In fact, there was comments about not listening, and I mean, this is a direct result of the council listening, right? Like, we're studying a thing because we're listening. It's just complicated and it's difficult. And it takes a lot of folks thinking and being a bit vulnerable to explore possible solutions to a difficult and complex situation. But this council is nothing if not willing to be vulnerable and a bit courageous. So I appreciate that we're having this discussion as a result of listening directly to residents about the fact that this intersection is terrible. So we're trying to make the best possible first step in the right direction. And I will share that the reason why I'm always in favor of pursuing more knowledge is because often what we'll hear is shelf-ready projects. What shelf-ready projects mean is you've done a study to really understand what a policy decision could yield, and therefore are ready to make an educated decision when given the opportunity to fund it. Infrastructure projects are the most expensive things, and they often take outside agencies to help a city to fund these large initiatives. They take Caltrans saying, hey, we're willing to change a bridge, hypothetically, not ever gonna happen. So the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of this exercise better prepares the city for a future in where if circumstances change, if opportunities arise, we have shelf-ready projects, or at least getting us closer to, that we are better positioned to make educated decisions. So I'm always in favor of the pursuit. However, we've already seen in this first step that came a year after the request to look into this, which is like, we're not making a decision to close down the street, how this has already been hijacked and rage baited. And it makes me nervous to continue the pursuit of knowledge because of bad actors. That really does make me nervous. I also, like Councilmember Steiner has said, we've asked for this feedback. You've given us as much as you can. There are more questions about the impact on RIMPA, about what this marginal improvement can do and whether the payoffs are, and I'm also not there yet. And because of where we're at, I would say I really appreciate where we've gotten to better understand this intersection. I think we can say honestly to the community, we've listened to you, this is difficult, and we've said, yes, let's study it. This is what we have. It gets us one step closer, but I don't know that a marginal improvement or moving forward right now would give us a large enough payoff to be worth this exercise. Do you know what I'm saying? So for those reasons, I also think that I'm okay. I'm okay with leaving this as a shelf ready, and maybe the next council, the next year, if something else changes, we can pick it up and study it further or consider it. But I'm usually on the side of pursuing more information. I just don't think that as a body, as a city, we are prepared to go down that route. So I'm option A. Thank you, Mr. Cox. So we've both given our position. Our colleagues have not given their position. So, Vice Mayor?
I can give mine. Thank you, and I appreciate it. I do think that this was what I asked for. I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough of an impact for us to move forward. So those of you that, I did have some folks that wrote me in support, things are going to suck for a little bit longer until we can kind of figure stuff out. However, I would like us, I know that occasionally we are benefited with federal dollars, long-term federal dollars for projects. This would be, I think, one of those areas that we may look at as a, who knows, maybe we do we do an X intersection and Caltrans says, hey, yeah, we want to give you, $100 million for the new bridge. I think this bridge has been built over 3 times. Same with Green River. But I agree. I don't think that, it would be nice to see if there was, anything else we could do that's low impact, like kind of what we've done with eliminating the crosswalk and seeing how well this all goes forward, all the AI changes. And who knows, maybe there's an opportunity for us to do some restricted things there. But it's going to continue to suck. So I'm also with A. Thank you.
So you have 3. I don't know if you all wanted to chime in and weigh on it or just let it be.
I'll chime in. I think Chris McCoy missed his calling in life as a traffic engineer. So need to look into that, Chris. I would like to, hopefully you guys, the two of you can come back when the AI's up and running and give a report so that we can know and the citizens can know that if that has improved anything at all. And if it's 6 months down the line, 8 months, whatever it is for you guys, right? And I'm really curious about that. And then I'm cool with A for now. I am nervous that we are running away from a solution a little bit. I would rather find solutions, but I'm okay with A for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank our traffic division. As far as just an order of operations, you know, we heard this intersection's terrible. We asked them to look at it, no bias, and just say, hey, can we improve something? And they came back and said, this is what we think is going to improve. Ultimately, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? But we looked at it, and you know, the next step would have been to do more in-depth outreach, but that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, this intersection is going to continue to suck. That's just the way that it is. But we've done our job, and we've looked at it. They did a great job, and they came up with some preliminary ideas. Zero bias. They just said, hey, this is what we think is going to happen. 30 seconds, 40 seconds, maybe a reduction in accidents. Still just going to be a terrible intersection until something happens. We have done a great job over the last 6 years, you guys 8, of being, you know, the recipient of the can being kicked down the road and having to do something, right? And I don't want to think that we're kicking the can down the road, but we all know infrastructure is extremely expensive. We all know that it's going to, you know, be even more terrible while it's under construction. And when it's all done, we don't know if it's going to be any better or not. So I appreciate that they did a great job looking into this. Ultimately, they probably would have come back and we would have said, it's definitely not worth it. So, but this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look at it. So I appreciate Aaron, Rosie, our, I'm sorry, what was your name again from?
Joshua.
Josh, your consulting. I appreciate that. This was good work. Thank you.
Yes,
I
thank you.
move to go with option A.
Yes, I second option A. And I think for this shovel ready gets us one step closer. I think I said shelf ready earlier. I meant shovel, anyway, getting us one step closer. So we've got, is there a motion? Actually, hold on a second.
Yeah, we
Oh, we do. We have a
do
motion.
need- yeah,
Okay,
just
on
confirm.
the floor, we have a motion from Councilmember Steiner, seconded by me to go with option A. Let's vote on that, please.
I think I have no blood on my finger because it's not
Vice Mayor's screen
registering.
isn't working.
Vice Mayor Speak, can we get your voice vote, please?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and that passes 5-0 for option A. Thank you so much, staff. We appreciate all of that deep research. Moving on to 9.2, ordinance amending chapters 9.20 and 12.24 of the Corona Municipal Code regarding special events and codification of applicant group priority classifications. We have Monique Leon from Recreation Services Managers who's going to present this item. Hi, Monique, welcome back.
Hi, thank you for having me. Let's see if I can have you hear me a little bit better. All right. So tonight we are back to further discuss the special event code updates. And so tonight our ask is that the City Council approve the proposed special event municipal code revisions and the addition of the user group classifications. We're going to go ahead and start with a brief overview of the presentation that occurred last time. And so what we presented last time is our purpose is for community services to be established as the central point of contact for all the special event permitting processes, if there's any questions from the public. Currently, our process is to revise the Corona Municipal Code to reassign special event functions from the police department to the community services department and incorporate the user group classifications into the code to ensure consistency across departments and in alignment with the master fee schedule. The background on this is we brought this item to the previous council meeting on August 5th, and then council requested clarification to event categories and who they apply to. So we have some information for you tonight. Another quick overview, the challenges we mentioned previously. There's currently an unclear point of contact. There are multiple permit processes that have some overlap. And so with multiple departments, so our suggestion is that community services be the primary point of contact, and that we're able to help direct the community and applicants into the correct processes and with the correct steps. Another challenge is that the consistent group definitions, they're not codified, so every department, not every department, but departments can use different definitions and apply different fees, so this would streamline that process. It would create consistent user group definitions and support and standardized fees across the board. So this, as a reminder, is a brief overview of the different steps that are required to hold a special event. These are different departments or outside agencies that could potentially need to be communicated with and have these various events discussed with. And this isn't necessarily an exhaustive list, this is just the more frequent ones. All of these groups need to be contacted, and special events in our community services team has those direct connections. Listed here are the largest suggested code changes. As mentioned before in Chapter 9.2, there is an addition of establishing the additional guidelines with an administrative policy, which clearly outlines all the steps that are needed and all the requirements to hold a special event within the city of Corona. Chapter 9.2 lists the permitting authority as currently listed as from the chief of police, and changing that to the Community Services Department for the communication. Chapter 12.24, in regards to amplified sound, currently it lists that an amplified sound permit is obtained with the written permission of the city manager, and the process is to have an application on file with the police department for that. In addition, Chapter 12.24 is where we're looking to add the applicant group, the priority classifications, to list those in code. And this is some of the information that was being asked for clarity. So I'm going to review private rentals and special event permitting, and then I have someone that can provide more information on the SUP process. So a private rental is private attendance. So if you're not invited to the event, it's not open to the public. Community services is the direct oversight for these permits. And these are held on city property, indoor or outdoor. So you could think picnic shelter, banquet room, but private event. The event size can vary. Event examples are birthday parties, baby showers, graduation parties, weddings, and different such family events. A special event permit, open to the public, open to anyone. Also oversight is with Community Services Department, can also be indoor and outdoor, and the minimum event size is 25-person. Event. Examples of this event are public run events, such as the 5K, the car show, backpack giveaways, concerts, and holiday events. And these events can or cannot include an entrance fee, so either one can be applicable to this permit type. And now is the special use permit, which is, the process is not subject to these proposed changes, but Danny Castro with planning will be able to assist me with explaining that process to you.
Thank you, Monique. Yes, so I know that there was some questions regarding the special use permit. The special use permit is a separate yet similar process in terms of its review. It involves special events and land uses that are on private property. So that's the main difference. Community services, their oversight over city property is appropriate because it is, we have oversight over our city facilities. The special use is for private property. Similarly, it's a public event open to anyone, and it is overseen by the Planning and Development Department. It again is on private property, typically outdoor events, and examples of that are like the Dos Lagos concerts. When we have pumpkin patch, those seasonal once a year pumpkin patch or Christmas tree lots when they're on vacant lots on private property, that's a special use permit. Our car shows are a boxing events we've had and carnivals and circuses. It's a land use activity that's on private property that that undergoes like a land use analysis just to ensure that because it's on private property that these special uses may have temporary impacts to the surrounding area. What I think is important is to just clarify what does not require a special use permit, and these are private social gatherings. If you have a party in your home, you do not require a special use permit. Even political gatherings, whether they be in a home or in an area on property and private property, they do not require a special use permit. I should just clarify too, private social gatherings that are not for commercial profit. So you can have a private party, even a fundraiser in your home that you may be raising, for example, fundraising for charity, does not require a special use permit. So I just wanted to make those clarifications. We're not proposing any changes to special use process or the permits. I work closely with Monique's office and community services, so we together help navigate if there is an inquiry as to whether a special event requires a special use or special event. And again, the main difference would be the next question: is it on city property or is it on is it a private property?
Thank you, Mr. Castro.
Thank you.
Ms. Leon?
Thank you. So that is all of the presentations. Again, this is just to identify community services as the primary point of contact. We will be working with these other departments to streamline the overall process and just work on making it easier for the public to be able to have these special events that they're wanting to have and that we would love to have at the within the city. So again, the ask is that the City Council approve the proposed special event municipal code revisions and the addition of the user group classifications. And I'm here if there's any more questions.
All right, thank you. Let's bring it back to the council. Actually, Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public?
Mayor, yes, we have one speaker card for this item.
All right, come on down. Welcome back.
Yeah, my name's Bad Actor, 2063 Wren. So it's good to hear in dribs and drabs what the clarifications are as far as who needs a permit and who doesn't. I don't know how anybody would find this out. I don't know how anybody would actually learn the thicket of, well, hey, political gatherings, you don't need a permit. But what about political gatherings that charge an admission? Because I know pretty much, a good chunk of you have charged admission to different political events. And where's the threshold? What are the actual rules? I get the verbal assertions at a meeting that you're not imposing on anybody, but there's actual rules somewhere. And so to hear that when we did a fundraiser that we needed a permit, now to hear that when we did a fundraiser that we don't need a permit, and well, if you do a party or a gathering or some kind of a thing in your house, you don't. But if you need it out, is it outside your house? Where's the rules? What qualifies you to need a permit? How about that? Instead of in piece by piece saying what doesn't need one, why don't we actually say what does need one? Because that's the thing that really counts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Ms. Edwards, any other speaker cards?
Mayor, we do not have any more speaker cards.
Okay, let's bring it back up to the dais with my colleagues. Any question, comments from my colleagues? No.
That was an easy one.
Yeah, that was pretty straightforward. Thank you. I second the motion.
I think you gotta read it.
We need to read this one.
Yep,
yeah.
I can see it's blue. Introduced by title only and waive full reading of ordinance number 3433, amending chapter 9.20 and 12.24 of the Corona Municipal Code to clarify the special event permit process, designate a primary point of contact for permit coordination, and establish standardized user groups classifications.
Thank you so much. Please vote.
Vice Mayor Speed, can we please get your voice vote?
Aye, please. Thank you.
All right, that item passes 5-0. Ms. Leon, thank you so much again for the presentation, for taking the time for clarification and coming back with some answers. Appreciate it. All right, 9.3, approve the memorandum of understanding with OC Marathon LLC to host the Corona 5000 road race for a 3-year term. We're going to go back to Ms. Leon, Recreation Services Manager, who's going to present on this item.
Thank you for having me back again. So tonight, we have a great update on the Corona 5000. I also have the OC Marathon team here with us if there's any questions. So our ask for this is that the city council approve the new 3-year memorandum of understanding with the OC Marathon LLC for the Corona 5000. Just a quick overview of the event from last year. In 2026, it was our inaugural event. The event was held on March 21st, 2026. We had over 2,900 participants show up day of the race. Race began at 8:30, and it was a full lap of Grand Avenue and ending in front of the HCC, which was exactly 3.1 miles. We had a health and fitness expo. We had custom t-shirts, finishers medals, and the finish line celebration. And the after party had the DJ and the vendors, and it was amazing. Oh, and the beer garden. So that was a great event.
There was an after party?
You weren't
Yes.
invited.
So for 2027, we are looking to grow the event. So our new date is looking to be February 27th, 2027, so moving it forward a month. We're looking to have over 3,000 participants this time. We are looking to add a kids race to the event, which would happen 15 minutes before the scheduled race time. The event would end at 11 a.m. We did notice that the crowd was a little bit light around 12, so just cutting it off a little bit earlier. And then we've already begun conversations with CNUSD, the school district, to hold their boxcar race event that normally happens at Santana Park in April-ish, March, April, to bring it in the Friday before. And so they're holding it in potentially the grass PD space the Friday before the event. So it'd be kind of like a kickoff event. Some event elements that are continuing from last year. The race would start at 8:30. There would still be custom t-shirts. We would still have our expo, and we would still have our finish line celebrations, which you can be sure to visit this time. So I know traffic plan was very much discussed, an important point. We did our after action report, and it was a success, and we actually opened the circle in its entirety a little bit earlier than planned. Our goal is to continue with this plan with the closures opening in quarters and having PD stationed at the important sites so that any emergency vehicles can go into the hospital. And we would still be working in coordination with the hospital for this event day. So diving into the MOU a bit, so the OC Marathon would provide securing the permits for the event, working with traffic control, and implementing improved traffic plans, continuing coordination with police and emergency services. They would be the primary for marketing and promotions. They would be responsible for event registrations. They would also be responsible for resident and business notifications, medals, shirts, and race bibs, also for the kids event. And then all vendor staffing and volunteers needed to put on a successful race. The City of Corona would provide facility and event permits, police and public safety, traffic control plan review, public parking, shuttle services. We would assist with the posting of no parking signs 72 hours in advance. So the closure for the after event party on 6th Street, we would provide that traffic plan. We would also cross-market all of the marketing on our city channels. We would assist with the Caltrans permitting, and we would hold the post-event celebration. And that's a photo of the crowd from last year, so it was a great event. Some updated MOU terms. We are looking for a 3-year term. The first year was very successful. We are looking to have continuous planning and being able to secure the events for 27, 28, and 29. We are looking to add a new registration revenue split. This was not in place last year. So for 2027, we're looking for a 5% split going to the city, 28, 7.5%, and 2029, 10%. What would continue is the sponsorship revenue shares. This was in place last year, and it's 25% of the sponsors and vendors comes to the city. So our ask is that the City Council approve the new 3-year memorandum of understanding with OC Marathon LLC for the Corona 5000.
Thank you so much. I think it's so cool, but I'm going to come back and see. First, Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public on this item?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards for this item.
What? It's a positive thing and no one wants to comment? Let's come back to the dais. My colleagues, questions, comments?
No questions. This was a great event. I'm sad that it's only 3 years. I wish we could just ink it permanently, but looking forward to it. Maybe even add a tattoo garden so that we could settle
lose a
bets
bet, you can set
immediately.
it up.
We can have the tattoo bus there for sure. They're a vendor. We can do that.
All right.
Very cool. Thank you. Do you have any questions, comments? Oh, Councilmember
I
Steindorf.
just want to say, the team from OC Marathon did an incredible job their first year, and I'm really encouraged to have you back for 3 more. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice
Just,
Mayor?
oh, sorry, go ahead. I thought someone said something.
Nope, it's yours.
Thank you. I'm bummed I missed it. I was on vacation, but I'm looking forward to the next one. I just had a question, and maybe this is, I don't know if you have that information now, but do you know what the total cost to the city was for the event in 2026?
Yes, so it is part of the SLCs that came in with the budget, where it's 25,000 towards third-party special events happening in partnership with the city. And so this was the event we chose to hold as that first inaugural partnership event. So total in kind and in permit fees, staff time, it was 25,000.
Okay, and that included PD, I saw all staff
Yes.
time. Okay, great.
PD, the DJ we provided for the the party after, the traffic control for 6th Street, everything added up to 25,000.
Okay, and it looks like we're changing some of the shares, so that we'll actually get, yeah, okay, and then we're also increasing the number, right? So, yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic, great. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. I'm really excited, thank you, and thank you all for continuing the partnership.
All right, Councilmember Richens wants to jump in before me. Go ahead.
I don't think we need a tattoo garden. But,
Says the guy who got a tattoo because he lost the last one.
my poor mother had a heart attack over that. But I think I know I've been practicing night and day since the last one, so Dario's in deep. He's in deep.
Double or nothing?
I think that little
Another
kid on
tattoo?
the picture, he beat both of you guys, so.
Not only little kids, but people that were probably twice my age beat us.
There's a 90-year-old guy that passed both me and Tony.
There you go.
It was pretty sad. But I think this year we're going to get McCoy into the mix. We'll figure out the bet and announce it in a future meeting. OC Marathon people, they are here. They're over there, right?
There.
You guys put on a hell of a race, man. I think my favorite part, other than getting tattooed, was 2 or 3 days before the race. So many people were like, "How do I get tickets? Where do I get tickets?" Like the FOMO of missing out on this race was incredible. So you guys do a wonderful job, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I can't agree more. I had that on my list. Is there a way to increase the registration? Are we planning to do that? Because there were several folks who said it's sold out.
We are looking to increase. It will be determined the amount based upon parking solutions we find.
Makes sense.
So as we find more parking opportunities, we'll work on more shuttle routes, then potentially upping that registration. So
Okay.
this way, having the MOU in place for multiple years, we can work on that kind of all
Okay.
year long.
And do we have a date for next year?
February 27th.
February 27th. Save the date. I heard from folks, our big event in the city is, Independence Day, the parade and the fireworks. And I had about a handful of folks after this race say, actually, this should be your, anyway, I think we can have more than one. What I'm trying to say is that it got people so excited, and they loved the energy that was created from the race, how many folks got into it, how many families were out there. I really love that we are exploring that partnership with CNUSD. Megan Ortiz Gutierrez has had it in her heart since forever to bring back the boxcar races, but in a different way, right? And for years now, single-handedly, now it's a bigger production, but has taught a curriculum on our local history in the 3rd grade, and has gotten students across the district, teachers across the district and the district, to buy into this curriculum on history, and to have kids, they literally make their own race posters. They have older kids who then volunteer to help for the event, and the kids build like box cars out of cardboard boxes, and they get so into it. They give you tickets, and they research the history, and they make it all look like it used to. So I think it's so cool that we're gonna bring that and tie it all together. So thank you for just finding ways to bring new and exciting and bigger events to the city. I'm really excited about this.
I think, Tom, we have a fellow.
I am not a historian.
History geek.
But
that
I
we can bring along.
do
Come on
appreciate
down.
a good event. So
Good job, Mayor. Good for you.
So with that, I would be honored to make a motion to move forward
second.
on this. Wonderful. We got a motion and a second on the floor. Let's go ahead and vote on this item.
I vote aye.
Okay, he's a yes.
Mayor,
Okay.
if I may, really quick,
Uh-huh.
we need a Clydesdale division. And you guys know what I'm talking about. We need that here. That would really help me out.
I mean,
Clydesdale is just what it means. It's for the larger stature runners.
I'll tell you, there was in 1915 when they didn't have a race, they had actually a foot race, and they had a race for men over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I did
Thank
not
you.
know
Bring
that
back.
today. We
It
learned.
was only 100 yards, but
Very cool.
Clydesdale division.
They called it the fat man's race back then.
they exactly
Really?
called
That
it that.
okay. All right. Well, we all we all learned. Wonderful. Okay, so that item passes unanimously. We are looking forward to it. February 27th. Please save the date. Moving on, item 10 on the agenda, legislative matters, 10.1, ordinance amending Corona Municipal Code, Chapter 5.34, solicitors, and a resolution updating the administrative penalties schedule for violations of the Corona Municipal Code. We have Mr. Danny Castro back with us, Interim Planning and Development Director, who's going to present on this item. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to present this item. This is an ordinance amending solicitor regulations and update to penalties. The ask is to adopt an ordinance amending solicitor regulations and approve increase in penalties for violations. For background, our current municipal code does establish a permitting and regulatory program for solicitors. It includes, that applies to persons that are traveling door to door who announce the sale or exchange of goods or merchandise. A permit is required. It's valid for 1 year. And it does prohibit solicitation between certain hours, 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. If no soliciting or trespassing signs are posted, then it does not permit solicitation. No sound-making devices, no soliciting in and from vehicles. There is aggressive soliciting, and it defines currently what aggressive soliciting is, where it's prohibited and it's subject to violations of a solicitor. And there are revocation and suspension provisions, as well as violations for penalties, or violations for failure to comply. At the July 1st meeting, the City Council considered Vice Mayor Speak's request to update the solicitor regulations, and then City Council then directed staff to return with an ordinance amending certain sections of this chapter and to increase the administrative penalties for violations. So here are the updates are being proposed to the regulations. Solicitor definition has been amended to include lead generators, and these are persons who collect information for the purpose of connecting persons with providers of services, goods or merchandise. So that would be included in the definition of a solicitor. Solicitation at locations with a sign for no soliciting or no trespassing is considered aggressive soliciting, and then therefore subject to increased penalties, and I'll get into that later in the slides. Solicitor permit revocation and suspension. Aggressive soliciting activity can result in permits being revoked or suspended just after one violation. Other violations can result in permits being revoked after 3 violations within a 12-month period. And for enforcement purposes, a responsible person extends to and includes the solicitor, the owner, the officers, partners, and managers of the firm, association, or employer of that solicitor. We've also are proposing that a solicitor must wear a badge or an identification card at all times that is visibly identifiable. It is issued by the city. It would include the name, photo, permit number, and name of the solicitor's employer. This is just an example of what that permit would look like, but it's intended for, again, to be just visibly identifiable, all looking the same. Here is the proposed administrative penalties and the increased. Currently, the fee structure for a first offense, second offense, and each additional offense is at 100, 200, and 500. What's being proposed is that they be increased from 100 to 200 for your first offense, 400 for your second offense, and then 1,000 for each additional offense. For aggressive soliciting, we are proposing that your first offense is increased from 100 to 1,000, 200 to 1,500, and then each additional offense to 1,500. So those are the proposed increased fines for violations. In terms of operational enhancements in 2024, the adjustment was made to transfer the permitting for solicitors from the police to planning and development, and the intent there was to help streamline the process. However, enforcement has always been a collaborative effort with police. In fact, recently, we've had some cross-training with the planning and development and police to increase the effectiveness in response to calls and for soliciting activities. And we're also creating shared resources to be able to track permits and violations between both police and planning and development. In terms of public awareness, should these regulations be updated, we will update the city's website and our frequently asked questions, as well as update the permit application to inform the public and the applicants about the updated requirements and the penalties. So the recommended action is to adopt the ordinance amending solicitor regulations and approve the increase in penalties for violations.
All right, thank you, Mr. Castro. Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public on this item?
Mayor, yes, we have 2 speaker cards for this item.
All right, come on down. Welcome back, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you for taking this up. I appreciate it. I'm glad that hopefully this will pass tonight. I did have a couple of things that I would like to bring up that I don't know if they can be included now or if you can include them later, but there is something called a re-knock, which is what these aggressive solicitors do. So they may have a permit and they will travel in pairs, and I have had this happen, so this is not something that I'm reading from somewhere else. This has happened at my house on several occasions. The solar guys will travel in pairs. The one guy will come up. He'll talk to you. You tell him, no, thank you. He leaves, and then he sends the other guy up. I've watched this on my camera. And that guy knocks on the door and starts telling you why you should do it. And you say, well, I already said no. And they'll go back, and they'll come back, and they'll knock even a third time. So I don't know how you include that, but I would consider that aggressive solicitation, even if it's not, you don't have a sign on your door or something. I think that is something that we might want to consider adding. And then the other one is I have, and I hate to, I'm not exactly sure how to say this, but I have had the same folks come to my door and knock on my door and ask me if I speak Spanish or if anyone else does, because they would like me to go to their church for 14 years now. Is it solicitation? No. Are they bothering me, making me feel uncomfortable? Not really, but it is something that needs to be considered as well, because it just put me in a database so you know I'm not the guy to come knock on the door. I'm not your guy. So, but yeah, thank you for taking this up. I hope it passes tonight. And if we can do something about the re-knock, which is something that they're doing now, I would really appreciate it. If we can include it in the future or tonight in some way, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. All right. Welcome back.
Hello, bad actor, 2063 Rand. Thank you, Wes. This is long overdue. I'll buy you dinner tonight at Castaneda's. You want to meet us there after the, so come on over. Thank you very much.
You can come up, and then after you can fill out a card. Thank you so much. Welcome back, Mr. Moran.
The aggressive knocking at the door as well, and it went beyond aggressive. It was little profanity thrown my way, everything else, simply because I said no thank you. One thing I wanted to inquire, is there any idea of providing or something that the residents can purchase. We have a sign on our door, and it goes by the wayside, and I wonder sometimes if it would be helpful to have one that also has printed at the bottom, CMC section, whatever, just to give it a little bit more gravitas, if you will. Kind of like when you see parking signs in private places, they'll say no parking here, subject to Corona Municipal Code or Corona Vehicle Code. So I was just wondering if that's possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Moran, and don't forget to fill out that blue card with city clerks. Okay, coming back up to the dais, Vice Mayor Speak, this is your item. Did you want to speak on it?
I just want to say thank you to staff. Thank you, Mr. Castro, for getting it back so quickly, you and your staff. I appreciate that. And yes, no secret that this came from, and thank you to, oh, sorry, did you have something you wanted to say?
After you.
And thank you to legal staff for weaving through, because we certainly had a lot of, I have a lot of suggestions that were not necessarily legal. So I appreciate you, you and your staff weaving through that with me and getting to a place where I think it's going to be a benefit to our residents. It's no secret that part of this came from a couple things. One, I had an elderly couple that said that they couldn't get a guy to leave their house. They would pulled into their driveway. He come up and tried to sell them solar. They said no, thank you. Walked in, tried to close the garage door. They kept sticking their foot and stopping the door from going up repeatedly, until the wife finally said, "What do you want to leave?" While her husband called the police, they just gave them their Edison bill and said, just take it and leave. And then later on, just not too much longer, I had a gentleman that came up and told me a complete lie about who he was and what he was doing, and found out he didn't have even a permit with the city. I found we only had one company that had a permit with the city. I think we've progressed from there. We have some enforcement that code enforcement's been doing a great job. I think we've issued a couple of either warnings and citations. I think the PD has a better understanding of where this is. I think this will help tighten up kind of where we are right now. And I just want to make sure that we get it out to the public so they know that what someone is doing is not just wrong, but it's against our municipal code. I know I've knocked on a lot of doors in my years on the council, and I just recently knocked on someone's door, not seeing the no soliciting sign, and I apologized into the Ring camera. But it's such a sacred place for folks nowadays that their home is somewhere they shouldn't be bothered if they don't want. So I appreciate the extra effort, and hopefully I get the support of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Mr. Derleth, do you have a comment on the RENOC?
Yes, exactly. I have an answer for Mr. McCoy. It actually is already covered by the existing ordinance, which says that aggressive solicitation also includes repeating the solicitation after the person has indicated their objection to the solicitation. So it's already in there as an aggressive. With respect to the religious question, unfortunately, for First Amendment purposes, it's specifically exempted from the chapter, so people have a right to come talk to you about their political or religious beliefs without fear of getting fined for that. So,
Thank you, Mr. Derleth. Questions, comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Daddario.
Thank you, Mayor. Part of this, and maybe I didn't catch it, but I have the no soliciting sign on my house, and I still get people that knock on my door. And my question is probably to you, Mr. Ellis, is there going to be some sort of educational campaign? Because here's the challenge. Somebody knocks on my door, even though I have a no soliciting sign, I want to know what information I'm going to try and capture so that I can pass it along. And how do I pass that along? And who do I pass it along to? Because candidly, if somebody's going to call PD, unless they're being rude, trying to break down your door or something like that, that's a very low priority call. And by the time PD has the opportunity to respond, that person's most likely going to be gone. And so they're not going to have the opportunity to hand them a citation. But there needs to be some sort of educational campaign so that citizens can understand what information and how to be a good witness, essentially. So that, let me get the information from you, that way I could pass it along, so on and so forth. Because if they don't have a license, if I have a do not disturb or no soliciting sign or something, I don't want this to be hey, we passed an ordinance and that's great. A lot of these people are jerks, for the most PG version of the word that I could use, which is not my style. So I want to make sure that they are appropriately dealt with. So will there be is there a component for education on what we can do, on what citizens can do?
Yeah, we can do some version of a PSA on that. The short one now is if someone's trying to break down your door, that's a burglar.
Yeah.
Don't, wrong tool for the job. But to your point, yeah, we want to make sure that people know
Okay.
that what they can do about that. So we'll work on that.
Appreciate it, thank you. I know that the fire department has a new social media person that got the chief over there, so maybe they could work on that, right, chief?
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions, comments?
Just comments. Wes, good job on bringing this forward. I think this is what the citizens want to see. I'm a little sad as a former Mormon missionary who knocked a lot of doors back in the day, but I can always just go knock on Chris's door for fun now. So I think I could go give Chris the God business. So I think we're good. Thank you. The Lord is happy.
All right, well, thank you. My concerns are still present. I think that this is an ordinance that's going to be difficult to enforce with resources. I still am uncomfortable with the definition of aggression, because I think one person's aggression can be another person's just, I'm out here trying to earn a living. So for those reasons, I'm still not okay with this, but we can take it up for a vote if we have a motion and a second.
I'll move.
Okay?
Second.
All right, let's please vote.
Mayor, the motion needs to be read for this
All right.
item.
Absolutely.
What's your voice vote, Wes?
I'm an aye.
So, Vice Mayor, you had to read the motion.
Yes. Introduced by title only and waive full reading of the consideration of ordinance number 3432, first reading of the ordinance amending chapter 5.34 of Corona's Municipal Code to update the regulations for solicitors.
Thank you. Please cast your vote.
My vote is aye, Ms. Edwards.
All right, and that item passes 4-1. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 11, reports from boards and commissions. 11.1, Library Board of Trustees, none. 11.2, Planning and Housing Commission. 11.2A, Conditional Use Permit 2025-0002 to establish a wireless telecommunications facility designed as an 81-foot-high ball field light pole with associated ground-mounted equipment within Citrus Community Park. Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public on this item?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards for this item.
Okay, would my colleagues like to take no action or set this item for review? No action, no action. Set review? No action, no action. All right, 4 on no action, so that's the way we're gonna go. So we're gonna go to 11.2.b, conditional use permit for a wireless telecommunications facility in Kellogg Park. Ms. Edwards, are there any speaker cards from the public on this item?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards for this item.
Okay, then would my colleagues like to take no action or set this item for review? Review? No action, no action, no action, no action. 4-1 on no action, so this item also moves forward. 11.3, Parks and Recreation Commission, there's nothing to report out. 11.4, Historic Preservation Board, nothing to report out. 11.5, Regional Meetings. 11.5A, update from Vice Mayor Wes Speak on the Southern California Association of Governments, the SCAG Transportation SoCal Connect meeting of August 12th.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was actually a fun meeting. This is a group of folks that were appointed by the President of SCAG to represent different areas. I was appointed by Ray Marquez. He's the current chair for SCAG. We were read the riot act about what we could talk about and what we couldn't, but we promptly mutinied and talked about kind of whatever we wanted in relation to traffic. We noticed pretty soon, or pretty quickly, the 3 representatives from Riverside County were kind of being sidelined a little bit. So we are going to be setting up some meetings internally with each other to try and push forward the idea that one size does not fit all. The SoCal Connect is a required document that has to go to the federal government about how money is allocated. And right now, allocations are, they did polling, and they aggregated that polling, and unfortunately, it led that people said that they don't want roads, and that they think that congestion is all caused by cars, and there needs to be less cars. So the three of us are going to get together and trying to do a cohesive group, and maybe pull in a couple of other folks that are also impacted by traffic and congestion. And I did remind our SCAG colleagues that in the last SoCal Connect, the main threat to economic development and economic thriving was congestion and traffic. So hopefully we're going to make that a continued piece, and I'll continue to argue and cajole and short of threatening, but to make sure that the voices that folks in this area, this region, are heard and how transportation dollars are allocated, and they aren't just put forward to the big areas that can fund buses and trains, that they also will help folks in the meantime. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We're going to go to item 11.5B, update from Councilmember Jim Steiner on the Riverside County Transportation Commission RCTC Board meeting of August 12th. Vice Mayor?
All right,
Or
thank you.
Councilmember?
So the commission approved an amendment to the Sunline Transit Agency's fiscal year 2025-26 short-range transit plan. The commission approved 2 cooperative agreements to advance the SR 91 eastbound corridor operations project into construction, which include an agreement with Caltrans, the Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor, and the City of Corona. The commission approved a 3-year on-call agreement for environmental site assessment services to support property acquisition and protect delivery and project delivery for commission and regional conservation authority projects. We received a highlight on the state and federal legislative update. The commission received an overview of the Riverside County Transportation Commission Advanced Mitigation Program. Say that 3 times fast. A program strategy to secure and preserve environmental mitigation resources before they are needed for specific transportation projects. The commission received an update by an economist from the Associated General Contractors of America on the U.S. and California construction outlook, including trends in construction, employment, spending, material cost, labor, and market conditions. And then the executive director's report included Measure A renewal. So the Registrar of Voters confirmed the renewal will appear as Measure A on the November general election ballot, maintaining the designation associated with Riverside County transportation funding since 1988. RCTC was awarded a $25 million federal build grant to advance the SR 91 eastbound corridor operations project, helping move the project towards construction in 2028. That money was helped gathered by Congressman Ken Calvert and Congresswoman Young Kim, so we thank them for that. The Mid-County Parkway and Potrero Interchange project construction is well underway on both projects. The I-15 Smart Freeway pilot, the pilot project is now operational, with initial data being collected, and Metrolink. They've provided an update on Metrolink's budget and financial outlook, with efforts being explored to address funding needs and to support continued regional rail service. Mayor Casillas, that completes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Edders, are there any speaker cards from the public for the regional updates?
Mayor, we do not have any speaker cards.
Okay, going to item 12, City Attorney's reports and comments. Mr. Durlick, do you have any comments tonight? All right, going to the City Manager's reports and comments, item 13. Mr. Ellis, do you have any comments tonight?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, going to item 14, City Council Members' reports and comments. None? None? Councilmember Steiner?
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate Robert Bob Small, who's one of our seniors in town. Supervisor Spiegel had her annual Senior Legacy Awards Luncheon, and there's a senior from each city in her district that is selected. And Bob was selected because he volunteers 5 days a week at our senior center. He's a big billiards player, and he keeps that billiards room in tip-top shape. So we thank Bob very much for his efforts. That's all.
Congrats, Bob. Vice Mayor?
Just two things. I wanted to thank a member of the public, and unfortunately he uses a name on Facebook that I don't know what his real name is. He uses an alias, but he mentioned that that he had seen deer that were going across across Green River, and said, I wonder why we don't have a wildlife crossing sign. And I said, that's a really good idea. I've seen deer there cross as well. And so I reached out to the city manager and mentioned this, he said we'd do some research, and got back, and the resident emailed me very excited with a picture that thanking me for doing so. And so I want to say thank you to him. I'm trying to think of how to pronounce it, his name, but hopefully he's listening tonight. I'll be able to help. But I did thank him. Other folks have contacted us about issues at parks. We've been spending a tremendous amount of time at parks lately. 13 or 14 new playgrounds over the past few years, and more to come. And so much attention's been paid to those that we've seen some other areas not be upkept as much. And so we also mentioned this, I think a few of us had mentioned this to the city manager probably about 6 months or maybe a year ago, and he announced to all of us, I think last week or week before, that we now have an enhanced park team that is going out and addressing those issues, kind of a strike team, so to speak, going out and addressing specific issues at parks that's over and above what we already have going on at those parks. So I'm really excited about it. I want to say thank you to the city manager, and thank you to Ms. Fincher and you and your team for making additional effort there. It makes a difference, especially when people bring things to our attention, that we're able to address them in a way. And this, to me, is not just addressing as we have done on C-Click Fix for years. I'm a huge proponent of it. I love C-Click Fix. I pushed hard for even more engaging in it, but this is actually beyond that. It's actually saying, hey, look, we realize that we have some areas that we need to pay attention to, and not only that, we're going to establish a specific team that can go out and do this. So I'm really excited about that, and I want to say thank you to staff for the extra effort and recognizing this is an issue and coming up with a creative solution. So thank you. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor, are those Animal Crossing signs, are they in English, or are they in a language that the animals can read?
Listen, like I tell my clients that the birds get their calendars every year, and when they should show up for breeding, they get it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. I have no comments tonight, but I do want to adjourn tonight. Vice Mayor Speak sent this in, and so we'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting in honor of David Macias, who is 87, of Corona, died in his home on July 29th this year. He was born in Corona in 1939 to Roman and Guadalupe Macias, and is one of 13 children. David graduated from Corona Senior High School in 1957. He retired from Vaughn's Grocery. He was the former owner of Joy Street Market, and later purchased the historic W.H. Jameson House located at 1036 East Grand, which was his childhood dream. David was preceded in death by 3 siblings and is survived by his remaining 9 siblings, his daughter, Rita Ray Dominguez, and sons, David Paul Macias and Mark Christopher Macias. His memorial service is September 3rd at 10 a.m. at Crestlawn Memorial Park at 11500 Arlington Avenue in Riverside. The reception to follow is at 1036 East Grand Boulevard. We extend our condolences and and are thinking of the Macias family. We adjourn in his honor tonight.